chains. Wake up, it's time to claim our right. With Austin, Stephanie, we'll fight the night. As the government reaches, tries to confine, wake up America shows us the signs. In the noise of the fray, one truth to define. Our freedom's the star that must always shine. And now a new hope begins to ignite. A baby will come, a new fighter in sight. A family's love, their future bright. Raise the banners, let liberty reign in the heart of America. Break the chains. Stand with Austin and Stephanie too, for a future so bold, so brave, so true. Rally around, let the message ring clear. Build a future where there's nothing to fear. Together a force as their family grows, in a land where the free wind forever blows. Together we rise, our voices unite, around Austin and Stephanie, champions of right. With hope in our hearts and eyes on the prize, we'll craft a world where freedom flies. In a world where the chains grow tight, under watchful eyes that stifle the light, there's a voice that calls through the shadow of might. Austin Peterson standing. Will you hear my plea? If I express my love in funds here in the state's grip, I know they've started to sink their hands in my life here. A range of things hold, just my dead sink. Is there just a things my creed? Does the scripture shine on and let it right to me? It's our solemn mission. Taxation, a cruel invasion. Liberty suffocation, a quiet abrasion. With our voices in unison, against the imposition, we stand, we demand. It's our solemn mission. Will you hear my plea? If I express my love in funds here in the state's grip, I know they've started to sink their hands in my life here. A range of things hold, just my dead sink. Is there just a things my creed? Does the scripture shine on and let it right to me? It's our solemn.
Good morning. Conversation behind the scenes has already been pretty damn spicy. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. We're glad and thankful to have you here. Austin, how could the conversation be spicy if you're all alone in a studio in the bright and early morn in Jefferson City. Well, I'm not all alone in the studio. In the studio, joining us live right now, Camelia Peterson. She's already blushing. She's already blushing. You're already red.
I was just thinking that people probably, I mean, maybe you do self-talk, before the show, and it can be spicy. I don't know.
She's redder than a turnip. Welcome to the show. We're glad to have you here. Do us a favor, click that like button if you're already a fan, and if it's your first time watching us, and after you listen to the content for a little bit, you say, I doth find this content to be pleasing to the ear. Then click that follow button before you leave so that you can join us again. The show schedule is Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time, and it's an absolute blast. We're going to have a lot of fun today. Camelia Peterson, you'll be on with us the whole time today, Camelia?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Thirsty Thursday. All kinds of smoking hot ladies of liberty today. We're going to have Tang Williams. She's going to join us today. Lily Tang Williams, talking about Chinese Americans fighting the left. She's running for Congress out in New Hampshire. She's a Republican candidate, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about her thoughts on these protesters on Columbia campus and elsewhere, and that story about how San Francisco Chinese Americans are fighting back against the leftist prosecuting attorneys out there, district attorneys. You'll love to see it. We're going to hear from Lily at 7:30 a.m. Central Time. At 8 a.m. Central, well, I guess it's Camelia, so she's here, so she's going to be the whole time. Daniela Pensac as well, because the big story today is the red pill content. It's going to be all red pill all the way down. Maybe a few black pills and a few white pills as well. We're just going to be popping pills all morning, Camelia. Before we get started, though, and I know people, I saw a commenter said they hate it when I do this the other day, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to pat us on the back. Because people think, oh, Austin, he's just bragging. What you see, he's just kind of like trying to make himself sound good when he says what you see and hear on the Wake Up America show today is going to be on Fox News 2 days from now. That literally happened. Okay,
Crazy.
Because, like I said, I was joking to you the other day. I said, Camelia, you probably roll your eye when you see the news. When you see what I put in the rundown and you think, why are we talking about this?
Right.
And then what happened? What did we see on the headline on Fox News? They were talking about the
Fox News is talking about drizzle.
Drizzle.
Like, what the heck?
And the soft boy era, right? And what did we cover that exactly 2 days before Fox News put that out? So if you're watching the Wake Up America show this morning, just so you know, I am a trained veteran award-winning journalist, despite how I look. And so when you hear something on the Wake Up America show, you can be assured that if it's not news already in the mainstream, it will be 2 days from now. So when we talk this morning about the battle between Fuentes and Southern and Nick Fuentes, maybe the mainstream won't say them by name, but the fight between the tradcons and the red pill community, which we have been discussing on the show to some extent between Camelia and myself, has started to reach mainstream levels of discussion. So we're going to talk about it this morning because a famed traditional, I guess conservative influencer, you might call her, Fuentes Southern, is now attacking the right for being misogynists, the red pill community for being misogynist. You've voiced some of these concerns as well, Camelia.
Not to that extent. I am a fan of at least throwing some nuance in the discussion, but
we'll do that today, right? But I can't believe it. This morning, I was getting ready. I was showering. I was fully naked, listening to Nick Fuentes, which I imagine most of his followers probably do. You listen to Nick Fuentes naked. Just kidding. Today's show might be the PG-13 or rated R. I'm just warning everybody today that there are some curse words. Some of these things are adult themes. We're not going to avoid talking about this stuff because some people might be not only deeply offended, but there might be some curse words. That's just going to be what it is. So there you go. It's not rated X, but it's a mature topic today. Nick Fuentes fires back at Fuentes Southern for the accusations about red pill misogyny because he has said he got triggered by this new term that's being used on the right. I promise you this is going to appear in a Fox News article soon. This phrase, right-wing girl dads.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, what is that? What is that?
Okay.
What does that mean?
So we're going to play the clip. It's basically like a 25-minute video of Fuentes, and we're going to go through it. I'm going to play Fuentes Southern's clip first, where she makes her claims and her attacks. There's this other. Remember that chick that I called a 3 the other day? I said I refuse to be lectured to by a 3.
Yes.
Well, she's out there saying that red pill guys are essentially Muslim because of the way that they want to put women in their place and all this kind of stuff. Well, here's the beef that the red pill community has with these tradcon women who are putting themselves out there in public. And the beef is with the red pill community is a lot of these quote unquote traditional conservatives are really just kind of LARPing as anti-feminists.
Sure.
Right, that they're pretending that they're anti-feminist, but they are progressive as hell when you actually start to see men taking their rightful role in society as in leadership roles, or suggesting that perhaps a true traditional conservative woman would not be on the internet posting photographs and videos of her, whether they are big boobed or not, that a traditional conservative woman would probably not have an Instagram account, would probably not be out there. And listen, we're libertarians, which means laissez-faire. I think polygamy should be legal, okay? So I'm not a traditional conservative when it comes to these things. All right, I come from a very libertarian, tolerant social view, but I live a fairly traditional
Yes.
male-female relationship life. My wife does the cooking and the cleaning, and I mow the lawn, right? It's not the 1950s where we're at, but it's fairly idyllic in those terms. Stephanie doesn't LARP as a traditional conservative, but she's more of what you might call a traditional wife in that sense. So, but we're also not going out there telling people how to live morally. Right. We're also not going out there and telling people about to follow God and Jesus is the way, the truth, the light of the world. And here are my gigantic bazingas, bazongas. Woohoo! Or let me just go out there and get all these get attention from other men by putting myself out there on social media. Maybe not appearing to be putting yourself out there sexually, but calling for the attention of men and looking for attention from men on these social media platforms. This is what the red pill community is. Their beef is, and to an extent, I agree with them. Camellia,
I do. Do you think that free market principles are at work here?
In what sense?
Well, in the sense that women are out there putting out that content because there's a demand for it.
Sure, absolutely. I'm not saying. Listen, I'm a capitalist who thinks that if sex work were legal, right, like prostitution, which I think it should be, doesn't mean that I think that it's a good idea that you should do it.
Right.
Is that capitalism? Yes. Is it bad? Yeah. No husband, no man, no father wants their daughter to end up in sex work, right? I'm not a libertarian who goes out there and says, yeah, geez, that's great. Oh, go girl boss, go start an OnlyFans, right? No, I'm like, no, don't do that. You'll destroy your chances of getting a good man. You'll destroy your chances of getting a good job. You'll destroy, you're going to be surrounded by drug addicts. You're going to be surrounded by dangerous people, harmful people, gang members. That's what that life is. No good father wants that for his daughter. So when we take it a step further and we say, oh, well, maybe these traditional conservative women who are all about getting God and getting Jesus, how many Instagram followers, would Jesus have? Is that where your ministry needs to lie? I think that and here's what I'm seeing this morning. This is the tweet. I'm going to quote this to you, Camellia, get your reaction to it. Because this is it's that three. The one I said that I was not going to be lectured to by the three. She says the red pill movement is ideologically Muslim, and it's a result of unchecked immigration into Western nations and the importation of backwards cultures which feature the subjugation of women. She's serious. Right-wing men need to stop falling for this third world brainwashing. So here's my response to it, and then I'm going to let you go. I said, imagine being so retarded that when you see men taking back their place in society, which is what I see red pill as, that you blame it on immigration. The tradcon influencers are so desperate to prove that they aren't leftist feminists that they hook the immigration topic in as if to say, I'm still on the right. See, I still hate immigrants. I just think men should stay in their place as subservient to the left-right feminazi regime. You're Muslim. Pathetic. Camellia, your response.
I don't think Andrew Tate has helped this in that he converted to Islam.
Yes, true.
Such a prominent voice, right? So that certainly has not helped anything. Plus, he says some really weird stuff anymore. But
Yes,
anyway,
that's true.
but something that I thought about this, we were talking about this morning, is that Rollo Tomasi. Okay, so sometimes I listen to red pill content, and
You listen to it a lot. Go ahead.
I get saturated after a while. I have to take a break.
Yes.
But I hang out in the boys' room and just listen.
You do. That's what the red pill is, by the way. And that's how Pearl Davis describes it. And that's how I think of the red pill community.
Sure.
It's men sharing notes.
Yep.
It's
Agreed.
it's the locker room, and men are having conversations about what we've learned about our relationships and about the modern world, sharing our pain and our struggles. And tradcon women don't like it. They don't like it because you know why? Because they've always been pearl clutchers anyway. So when they hear us talking about sex in the way that men talk about sex, they don't like it. It's rough. It's a little rude. It's a little boorish. It's a little crass. Well, guess what, ladies? This is a man's world. This is a man's world. Do you want? And the tradcons will say, we want men to be men until men actually be men, and then they don't like it.
So last year, Rolo was saying last year on some of his podcasts and videos that he said by the time this time, actually earlier than now, rolls around, like the red pill movement will just be trashed because it'll be taken over by all of these kind of people who are, whether it's people like Pearl, but all of these people who are talking about it and grifting on it. And it's not what red pill really is. And he's totally right. I mean, we've seen that the rise of it, and
What do you mean?
it's in mainstream conversation now.
How do you interpret that? Go ahead.
Well, I think that,
All that.
so red pill content is not about, what men should be doing, with women. It's about men understanding women's behavior and about men, behaving accordingly. It's basically how to strategize in their own lives, and how to work on their own stuff. And then, that's how you get women. You don't get women by going out and listening to how women say that you should
Yes,
date and things like that.
exactly. Thank you, Camellia.
Right.
It's because women get really offended, when we say things like this. But I say things like, you do not listen to women's advice about how to date women unless they also date women. I actually have heard some good advice from lesbians, right? So I'm not saying never listen to women. I'm saying that a fish is not going to tell you how to catch it, right? A fisherman doesn't ask the fish's advice on how to catch fish, right? And women will miss when they say what it is that they want, they're lying. But when they're not trying to say what it is that they want, they're telling the truth. There are signals that women give that are not direct. They give indirect signals about. They will display. Don't listen to their words, look at their actions. That's what I'm saying. Right? They will show you what they want. Women will show you what they want. It's like they will say, you need to ask permission when you kiss me. But they sure as hell are going to say no if you dare ask, right? These mixed signals are very confusing for young men.
Sure. And I mean, men and women communicate differently, right? Which is like the age old, men are from Mars, women are from Venus thing,
Yes.
where women, are, you should just know, like you should be able to look at me. You should just
read my
know what I'm
mind.
thinking, right? I shouldn't have to tell you, you should just know. I've had these conversations with my daughters already because, when boys at school or whatever are behaving in certain ways or they're frustrated about something and they're going to be in a little simpy or whatever,
Simpy.
and like she gets frustrated with that and doesn't like it. And she was like, she's like, he should just know. And I'm like, nope, that is not how this works. You have to be direct.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a different world, right? And I was having a really good conversation with my inner circle when I was in DC, like my closest friends. And at first they were all raging against my red pill kind of talking points. But then at some point something clicked and they go, oh, you mean in the modern dating context? Oh, you mean like because of social media? I was like, yeah, that is what the modern dating context is. They're like, oh, well, yeah, it is that kind of a situation, this scenario where, it's like the top 5% of guys who are going to be able to compete on dating apps. For most men, they're not going to be able to compete on dating apps. Right. So, there's only so much self-improvement can take you. Right. And so men who, if you're trying to better yourself as a man, you need good mentors. And so men that are stepping up in the red pill community, I mean, unfortunately, like you say, a lot of them, they're attracted to like, the Nick Fuentes or the Andrew Tates or, with the tradcon influencers, they go to like, kissless virgins like Michael Knowles and Ben Shapiro. Like, I understand they have kids, but they're functionally virgins. Okay. So, I mean, they don't understand women. Like, you have to have slayed to understand women. Okay. And listen, traditional conservative men who got married at 20 years old don't understand women. They do not understand women. Okay, like it's better for women to keep the body count low in order to attract a good man. Look at your face. It's reality. Too bad. Women, women want a man with a future. Men want women without a past. Okay, we look at your past.
Sure.
You look at our future. Okay, these are biological realities, and some of these things are not fair, but these are realities. Okay. So when you look at a man that you're going to listen to for advice, listen to me, okay? Because I understand to the extent that any man can how a man should behave in a modern context in regards to dating if you want to get a good wife for marriage. Because I got a fucking perfect wife, okay? I got a perfect wife. I got a beautiful, sexy, smoking hot, redheaded, libertarian waifu, okay? You don't get that out there. There are very few. How are you going to catch them? Well, you're going to have to cast a wide net, right? And you're going to have to corral them, right? And you're going to have pretty damn good bait. And then you're going to have to let them come to you. Because like I've explained to you in the past, Camellia, women are like birds, right? Am I wrong? Women are like birds?
Oh, well, remind me how women are like birds.
Women are like birds. If you try and catch a bird, if you grab at the bird, you clutch at the bird, what does the bird do?
Just fly away.
It flies away.
Sure.
But what happens when you take delicious bird seed and you strew it on the ground? And then you put it in your hands and you hold the bird seed in your hand. What does the bird do, Camellia?
Well, very slowly.
Yes, patience. Patience. You have to have patience, and then the bird will come to you. And that's what you have to do, right? You got to peacock a little bit.
Sure.
You got to peacock a little
Sure.
bit.
And I don't think, I think men, as part of this, as part of what is now, popular red pill in mainstream, I think that people have this idea that red pill is like macho man, alpha, whatever. And it's just like, it's such a misconception of what, actual masculine alpha man is. Like, if
And Fuentes admits that he's not like the most masculine alpha man. We'll play these videos, but it's going to have to be after Lily Tang Williams because I don't want to throw off that flow. But
I will tell you that when I can tell when a man walks in the room, like a lot about him. You can
Yes.
just tell by the way they carry themselves. You can tell by their body language, their facial expressions. And the men who are like over the top, alpha, so to speak,
puffing up their chest, yeah.
not alpha. I mean, they are not. I mean, they are inside. They are insecure. Like if they have to, if they have to spout off and swear at people and be loud and draw attention to themselves,
They might be compensating.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing: like the men who understand women, they typically aren't the loudest guys in the room, right?
No.
They're typically not going to be the guys who are out there in your face who are going to be like,
Right.
or that are bragging about it, all that kind of stuff,
Yep.
like me, like I'm doing here on the show, right? But the thing is this: that we're in a situation where men, I believe, are starting to, I won't say take the upper hand, perhaps, but I will say that men are starting to adjust to how they've been put in second place in society,
Sure.
about how we've been put in as treated as second-class citizens, right, by diversity, equity, and inclusion standards that go back to women's suffrage. And I think that the reaction to that, not just from the left, because the left was always going to call us bigots and hateful misogynists and white supremacists and Nazis and fascists and all this stuff. But now that men are starting to actually say, conservative men are starting to say to their conservative wives, you don't need to have an Instagram account. Now they have a problem. Now the tradcon female influencers, because they would lose the attention that they're getting because they are such attention whores, many of them. Now that they are being told, oh, I have to go and homeschool my children, which means I can't be on Twitter all day long, or I'll posting my butt on Instagram or making cooking videos, all these kinds of things. That's what it seems as if they're rebelling against. Because when they are actually, because what's the Thomas Sowell quote? When you're used to special treatment, being treated equal feels like discrimination, right? But now they're actually getting what they've been advocating for, which is you want to be a traditional conservative, you want to be a tradcon mom. That means what? Silence. Women should not be leaders in churches.
There's
right?
Pearl sometimes
Yes.
retweets this woman
Yeah.
called the transformed wife or something like that, and she's very very religious, very quote unquote traditional. I also think she's really hypocritical, but and we won't talk about the harmful things that she advocates for young women. But my point is like she was tweeting the other day and said that was talking about women shouldn't be preaching in churches and blah 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 and this and that, I couldn't help it. I was like, it's okay to preach on Twitter though, right?
I think that Pearl calls him out. She may be a hypocrite, but I think she admits she's a hypocrite a lot. But she points things out that a lot of women don't have the balls to say, and she says it as a woman saying it, it has more impact than if a man says it, because you can't write a woman off. She's supposed to circle the wagons and join the sisterhood. She's not supposed to speak out on these things. She's not supposed to take. You're not supposed to take men's side
You know
in
what I
modern society. Go ahead, say what you want to say, and then we got to go to Lily.
Okay, I was gonna say,
Lily.
you know what I don't like about it though is
What?
that like she's not the one that men need to be listening to. I think it's unfortunate that it takes a woman saying it for some men to listen.
It may be unfortunate, but it's the world that we live in. We're going to have to go to commercial break. Do you guys want to see the bonus content today? You better start getting those Rumble Rant donations in, because we're just going to go. You're going to miss out on today's awesome True Conspiracy. Lily Tang Williams, she's a lady for liberty. Let's hear what she has to say. Preach the word of liberty when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to wake up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars, ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit petersonvoicestudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP4Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's revolutionary roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's patriotic perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericashow.com. I think you guys are enjoying today's topic, but you can show us just how much you're enjoying the show just by clicking that like button. And if it's your first time watching the Wake Up America Show, make sure you click the follow button too before you go so you can find us again. The show streams live every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a 2-hour liberty extravaganza, economic freedom and personal liberty. That's what we're all about. Now, we've been talking a lot about men's and women's issues these days, and some of my greatest heroes of liberty have always been some of the women who have pioneered these ideas that we talk about every day. People like Ayn Rand, people like Isabel Patterson, Rose Wilder Lane. We did some documentaries about those ladies. Well, there's some modern day ladies of liberty who are the heroes pioneering the freedom movement. In fact, one's running for Congress. Her name's Lily Tang Williams. She's joining us live right now from New Hampshire. Good morning, Lily. Nice to see you.
Well, thank you for having me, Austin.
We're glad to have you, Lily, and we're very excited to hear more about your campaign. We'll have more on that later. I wanted to get your reaction to some of these protests that are happening around the country at Columbia University and in Texas, at NYU. Many of these leftist protesters who are upset about the United States position between Israel and Gaza. You had a lot to say about these leftists. What was your take on it?
Well, this leftist kind of remind me of Mao's Red Guards. I have seen those leftist protests for a long time, especially in the past 3 years through the pandemic. And it doesn't matter what a fancy name they use for their movement. And you get the communist and socialist groups and with the democratic socialist groups, they're all behind those protesters. You know, as a citizens, we have right to peaceful protest, but the tactics they use and the violence they use, it's just very worrisome. So I have been calling about this kind of like a similar American cultural revolution where weaponized use to go against the traditional American values and culture. And the people need to wake up to say, what is the agenda here? I mean, if they are peacefully protest, that's fine. But if they're discriminating against people and threaten people's lives, where Jewish Americans cannot peacefully go to schools and to take classes, even to teach as professors, we got a problem.
We certainly do, Lily. And I heard the news this morning that I guess Columbia is now going to have no more in-person classes for the rest of the semester. They're running scared. But it's fascinating. This is a monster that the administration of these universities, they've created this monster, haven't they?
Well, they have been indoctrinating our college students for years. And you spend lots of money, you take a loan to go to university, college, and then you become little Karl Marx. And if you look at what they're chanting, it's very terrifying because, when Mao utilized the Red Guards to achieve absolute power grab, and those kids were, use drums and use chantings and use mob tactics and to scare people and even turn their professors and their families sometimes under the bus. And so I've been calling this for a while. It's just like when you say those socialist communist groups unite and push for this, but use the name of a free Palestine from river to the sea, it's like people need to wake up. This is not just about anti-Semitism anymore. It's from CRT to DEI to BLM to trans rights, gun control, climate justice. It doesn't matter what name they use. This is taking down of America.
Absolutely, Lily. It's the people can say, "Oh, well, maybe I have a certain opinion about the conflict between Gaza and Israel," but it comes with a whole package, as you said here. They're not just fighting for free Palestine. They're fighting for Marxism. They're fighting for climate cultism. They're fighting for DEI and ESG. All of these things that you've packaged up here so succinctly. So what's the solution here? I mean, defund the universities. Robert Kraft, he's already said that he's pulling funding from Columbia until they get this under control. I mean, these students have free speech rights, so you can't just clobber them over the head like they might have done in previous days. What's the solution to this, Lily? You're running for Congress. Give us some solutions here.
Well, there are two things we can do. Number one is that I was listening to the congresswoman and was saying that we should defund the Columbia University. I don't know how much funding they're getting from the federal government. Got to really consider withhold funding right now and demand that the administrators, like the presidents, are be held accountable all over the country and in those blue university towns. And number two, if you're a private donor, it's time to wake up. You are not funding for science, math, engineering studies, and critical thinking college anymore. You are funding for Marxist indoctrination, and now especially the people who have been giving charity money, they have not realized, like Bill Ackman, for example, it's like wow, that because of this hate American and the Marxist oppressor versus oppressed, so Jewish American now is supposed to be deemed to be oppressor. So you got to demonize them and put them through struggle sessions. I'm glad to say lots of people are putting their private donations out of those Ivy League schools. And when you look at the multicultural revolution, it started on the top two universities, Beijing and Tsinghua. It's equal to Harvard and MIT or Columbia and MIT. Now you see that can spread in the country. But what do they aim at? It's not just this one movement. It's one protest. We call it anti-Semite, calling for peace for Gaza. No, when you look at it for years now, they are well-funded, well-organized, and they're very loud and very thuggish-like. I think there are Marxist groups that really aim to destroy free market capitalism in this country. So we go back to traditional Marxism and class struggles, oppressor versus oppressed, to destroy this country.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. God, I hope Lily Tang Williams wins her election. By the way, I forgot to let everybody know, if you're just tuning in, I also have my friend Camelia Peterson, who's on set with me today. Hey, CJ, feel free to jump in anytime if you got a question or something. Did you want to ask Lily anything?
I was just Lily's running in New Hampshire, right?
Yeah.
So how are things going? Like, how are you being received, Lily?
Yeah, how's the campaign?
Well, I consider myself the front runner. If you look at the FEC.gov, we have been campaigning for 9 months, and I got 52 state legislators' endorsement. I built a grassroots team, and lots of young people from 19 to 38 are involved, and we go everywhere. I just had my first town hall in a very actually blue city, and we're having lots of fun because my story, survive communism, and running for Congress to save American dream, preserve American ideals, is resonating with them. Because those young people feel like they have no future in this country. They cannot live their American dream anymore. We are terribly like $35 trillion in debt. Inflation is high. House is not affordable. Mortgage rate is high. And there's a low meritocracy and rule of law. So they feel so, kind of down. But because me fighting here, and they said, oh, this is a candidate we can get behind. Some people have never donated and never get involved in politics, but they're supporting me in my district.
I'd love to hear that.
And I think what she's talking about is something that so many people are looking for right now because there's so much negativity out there. I think someone like Lily brings a message of hope and possibility and
Yes.
potential. I think people are thirsty for that.
She's never been like a black pill
Right.
doom scroller, negative Nancy type. Like, yeah, it's the end of the world. It reminds me a little bit of a Vivek Ramaswamy, that, that our best days are ahead of
Yes.
us. I like that message. I want to turn the topic to a different conversation, Lily, of which you can speak, which is a topic I spoke a couple of days ago, that Chinese Americans in San Francisco have started to turn against the left. It's not that they're abandoning the Democratic Party necessarily just yet, but in Chinatown, where there have been so many anti-Asian violent attacks, actual hate crimes committed against Asian Americans, the Asian community there is starting to push back. They're leading recall efforts against district attorneys. They're leading campaigns against the current San Francisco mayor, and they're recalling school board members because of the way Asian Americans are being treated in academia. It used to be that being Asian American, when you took a test, was actually a benefit. But the left has decided that there are too many Asians now getting into universities. And now Chinese Americans are starting to fight back against the left. Are you seeing this too, Lily? And what's your take on that?
Well, I'm very proud of them. I have actually some friends I know who are involved in this kind of recall movement. They, Chinese Americans especially, they start to wake up under Obama's Common Core. Says, hey, Chinese families are traditionally value education and think education have real skills in the world is going to give them a good jobs and a good future and live their American dreams. Lots of them are coming from China with nothing. So they're very, happy to live here and get their kids best education possible. But now they're facing this dumbed down education, and the worst is under this divisive politics, identity politics. Asian Americans now are doomed to be like the white adjacent. So
Yeah,
under
you're with us
CRTD,
white people now. Yeah.
yes. So that's what I'm saying. It's not about skin color or race. It's about classic Marxism. It's from have and not have. Asian Americans have the highest annual household income. So that's why when they were discriminated, by the affirmative action, they get organized and they sue Harvard and they bring down the affirmative action. And now in San Francisco, in California, now they're trying to cancel the test. So if Asian Americans, they have a poor background, or they're new immigrants or first generation, their parents work their butt off running a restaurant and to get their kids to go to best school, and they cannot get in because of the quotas. And now they are even more upset because the crime is out of control. The People's Republic of California has a horrible policies. If you rob somebody under 950, you're not going to get charged. You don't even bother to call police. So they are empowering criminals. And Asian Americans are wealthy, and they also, some of them are passive. They don't call cops after they're robbed, or some have English barriers. They don't know how to go about to seeking justice. And some senior citizens, they just get locked down and get hurt, and some died. So this is outrageous. So we come to this country for American ideals. Remember, American ideals is freedom, free market, and prosperity, and free enterprise, meritocracy. Now let's not talk about individual merits. Just focus on skin color. So what California is doing, what New York doing, lots of places, they are focused on skin color identity politics. It's like what they're doing now, protests against Jewish Americans, anti-Semite, but at the same time, legal immigrants like us being forgotten, and now with the border crisis and lots of potential people can do harm to us coming here if they commit a crime, and they're not deported, detained, because they're special Democrats, oppressed voters for them. And they're offering incentive for them to come here illegally. So legal immigrants are very upset about country's situation today.
Absolutely. Dang.
I would vote for Lily.
I would vote for Lily too. Lily, if people want to support you, we can't, obviously we have people from all over the country, all over the world who tune into this show in the mornings. They might not be able to vote for you in New Hampshire, but they might be able to support you. Where can people find out more about your campaign and offer some support if they'd like to do so today?
Well, first of all, go to my website, lilytangwilliams.com, and there is donate button, and you can donate online. You can also send me a check by using the mailing address. And I do have a serious Republican challenger in the primary, and he's going to probably outrace me, but I have the grassroots. I have the people's support. I always believe the government should serve the people, not become elitist politicians like lots of them are in DC. So I need everybody chip in, support me. I will be historical candidate if I win. The first one who survived the Mao's communism. Go call out all the socialist policies from the floor of US Congress. We need to cut the government budget, out of control spending, and let the people to have their same quality of life. Now they don't. And if you want to follow me on X and Lily for Liberty, which is the same account I've been using for over a decade, I have been advanced advocate for freedom for over a decade. So I hope you give me a follow and share my post there and get everybody and to support me in the country. I will really appreciate it.
You got it. We're big fans, Lily. We'll be watching from afar, wishing you the best. Let's get those donations in to help her take back Congress for the people. We appreciate you, Lily. You have a wonderful day and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's Lily Tang Williams. Let's give her a round of applause. Damn, she's good.
Yes. And she's right. She has the grassroots momentum, but just a little bit to remind everybody that that's great, but boy, she needs the money.
She needs the money.
She needs the money.
That's what it is. It's money talks, BS walks. At the end of the day, we've got to be willing to put up or shut up when it comes to our funds, right? Or we're not going to have more freedom. It looks like the audience really enjoys her. I'm glad you're here. We've got lots of new names and faces I'm seeing in the chat as well, like Rubelm. Howard Rourke is here this morning. First-time listeners, nice to have you. Welcome to the show. And I see that there's some disagreement happening in the comments. That's okay, right? Yeah, no, that's all right. We, as long as everybody's civil towards one another to an extent, you can, agree to disagree and, just, try not to call each other names or be childish or anything like that. That's all I ask. Just civil disagreement. It can be heated disagreement, but, we try to foster a positive community as much as possible. So Lily Tang Williams running for Congress in New Hampshire. I mean, I'd vote for her twice if I could. If I was a Democrat, twice, 3 or 4 times. But we got Daniela Pensac still to go at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. We're going back to the topic that we were at before, Camellia, and I know that it's annoying to some people. Lauren Southern versus Nick Fuentes. So just to set this back up, we were talking about this a little bit earlier before Lily Tang Williams, which is that Lauren Southern is on a tear against misogynist right-wingers, right? Traditional conservatives like Lauren Southern and many others who, have billed themselves as tradcons, right, are going out there very upset about the red pill movement, which is what I call men sharing notes, but what they see is hateful incels, misogynists, and bigots. Let me play this clip from Lauren Southern so that you can hear her from her own words. I don't want to misconstrue what she has to say. I like Lauren, but I think I disagree with some of what she's suggesting, not necessarily in this video, but in some of her other tweets. And then we've got a long Nick Fuentes video that we're going to go through. Camellia. Never thought I would find myself agreeing with Nick Fuentes about anything, but he has, he had some moments. He had some moments. So let's play this clip and we'll react to it. Okay. Oh, crap. It's time to light the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to something with the Muppet Show tonight. Okay, now there we go. Now they can actually hear the audio.
We're supposed to be better than this. We used to lambast societies where women couldn't vote or get educated, and now these influencers see that shit and think, yes, perfect. Burqas for everyone, multiple wives, all of them illiterate. I don't want to be able to have a conversation with a single woman. Love it. And the reason our society is better, and why myself and so many others defended the West back in the day, is because everyone was educated, men and women. Women literally educate our children. We get dumber men when women aren't educated. And this is the reason everyone wants to come to our society, because it is more intelligent, more literate. People are more capable of engaging and building community. Women and men who are higher educated, way less likely to divorce, way less likely. And that
So pause. I didn't know that red pill men didn't want women to be educated. I don't know what she's responding to there. Feels like a little bit of a red herring.
I think that she's guilty of doing probably what she's reacting to, which is she's very broadly generalizing.
Correct. Yeah.
And I think that, there has been a lot of generalization about women in the red pill, movement. And so I think that's what she reacts to. That's what a lot of women react to.
Right. And I have labeled many people who are on the right, some of these groypers, et cetera, as kind of like the Christian Taliban to a certain extent, right? Some of them do like cross the line with their view, and I don't agree. I'm the as far as you can get from a groyper. However, when she made the comment about multiple wives, I mean that is the most traditional form of marriage, one man with many wives. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
I am not certain about that. It
That's
definitely
biblical.
depends on the society.
That's biblical, is it not?
I don't think it was. I actually don't think it was the norm. I think I think it's talked about in terms of royalty.
Yeah, the problem is that with traditional conservatives is that their traditions only go back to a certain. What we're talking about is from 1948 to 1957, and then right there, that's there are traditions that go back for a little farther than that. Okay. Anyways, let's let her continue.
family unit, so integral. And yet we want to go back in time instead, go back to the Stone Age, to the values of the people who are literally escaping those countries to come here because it's created such shit cultures. The left imported all of this.
The left imported all this. Okay, so again, a red herring. Right. So this is this argument now that these tradcon influencer females are using to try and appear as if they're not feminists because they've been railing against feminism for a long time. And this is that the reason why these red pill men are becoming so misogynist is because they've imported these third worlders. And now because of all these immigrants who are super macho and masculine, they're trying to cater to them. I mean,
I don't know who she's talking about. Like, who's in the masculinity movement that is an immigrant that's not? I mean, the whole lot of them are white.
No right-wing influencer,
Saying.
no right-wing or red pill influencer is trying to appeal to immigrants who are coming to this nation in order to appeal more masculine because of immigrants. What red pill and right-wing influencers are doing is they're fighting back against what good old remember Rush Limbaugh what did he call them? Feminazis. Right? Men are now fighting back against the feminazis and the feminists who have put men into second place in this society. See, there's all this rhetoric about women wanting men to be leaders, right? And they show us, you signal to us.
Right.
You might not say you want us to be leaders. Sometimes you do, right? But you signal to us, take the lead, pay for first dates, open the doors. Like we want you to be the leader. We want the man to be the leader. But when the men actually lead, which might mean that you might need to shut up. You don't like that, do you? You don't like it because you know what a leader has to do sometimes? Be the only one who talks. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Somebody has to make the decision in the end.
When there's a king and there's a queen, if a woman marries a man who's a king, what does she become?
Well, a queen.
She becomes a queen. If a woman is a queen and a man marries that queen, what does he become?
The first husband. I mean, pretty much. It's like he's not ruling with her.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a dynamic that you sort of see here where in modern society, women are the queens and the girl bosses. And they don't want some simp coming in and acting. But here's the thing: you voted to get with the first DEI policies were let's put women in these roles. Diversity,
Sure.
equity, and inclusion that all these tradcon female influencers are decrying.
And the irony is that that's now flipped on its head to where it's actually working against women.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, to some extent, right? Because now you've got minorities taking your jobs because it's a trans man who's now more woman than you are.
Gosh. Yeah, that's true.
So tradcon influencers who are against feminism and DEI suddenly don't like DEI. They suddenly like diversity, equity, inclusion standards when it ensures that they will retain supremacy in their sports, right, in their locker rooms and things like that. They wanted to invade male spaces, and they didn't speak up for us when we were losing our men's clubs and our male spaces.
Right.
But now that men in dresses are invading their spaces, they want us to speak up.
Yeah, that's something that I've always said when we talk about this whole issue, because it's been going on in Missouri for the last few years about getting, boys out of girls' sports. And I'm like, that's fine. I think we should do that. But I also think that, the flip side should also be true, that, girls should not be able to play on the boys' teams either.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Right. Well, they do that sometimes where they'll just like put a girl kicker in the football team and
Right.
things like that.
Right.
Right. Or they'll
And we have seen that societally as a positive.
right. Now this is the caveat with some nuance here, because another part of this one, if something I might like disagree with the red pill or like the right wing misogynists on, is something like women in the military, for example. And the way that I look at it is, as the military, without getting into too long and drawn out of an explanation, is that I think women should be allowed to work in the military, but I wouldn't put them in the front line or combat roles.
Yeah, I would say I don't agree with putting them in combat
I wouldn't
roles.
put them on the front line. Have them run, driving supply trucks or doing, not doing the kinds of jobs that I'm going to not say what I was getting ready to say, because I think it'll get me in real big trouble. But I'm just going to say that the military is to be used when you are fighting for your life, like total defense. And so if you're fighting for your damn existence, yeah, you're going to have women doing roles in the military, because they don't want the opposing side's men to come in and win the war and take the
Sure.
women and rape you and plunder you and, and have to
I mean,
have.
we've had women working in the factories building
Yeah.
bombs. I mean, like women have played lots of roles in military conflict. They're just not frontline combat roles.
So on that, I would disagree with maybe the most hardcore right wingers. We are $12 towards the $60
Yay.
goal for the bonus content today. Just an FYI, I know people were asking. If you want to unlock it, you can either make Rumble Rant donations. I produce mini documentaries each day for the show, and if we don't unlock them, they go away. So far, we've never had that happen. But because we are so distracted, and I'm not plugging it a lot, which is good. You're getting lots of content today. But you might miss the documentary. So if you want to see it, then go to apforlibertyshop.com. Buy some coffee today. We're all drinking. I think today we're drinking Washington's Revolutionary Roast.
Yes, I think that's what I
Yeah, so that's the nice medium roast. It's delicious. My favorite is Thomas's Painkiller. Madisonian Morning is like coming up there for me. Another light roast, which I really love. So get some coffee, maybe a couple of t-shirts at apforlibertyshop.com. Once we hit $60, that'll get us over the top. Okay. So women in the military, fine. Don't put them on frontline roles, right? That's my take on it. It's a red herring to suggest that because we're importing third world culture, that's a cope by like Lauren and these things. And I like Lauren personally. I just think she's getting attacked right now. And so I think she's probably being defensive. So she's looking for something to fire back. I mean, she's a single mother. She married a Fed. He divorced her. And now she's like, it's hard to continue along the path that she was on, which is kind of like the anti-feminist, like kind of like right-wing Viking Valhalla, super Aryan warrior chica, and have a child, a mixed race child, which Nick Fuentes goes on, right? She has a mixed race child, and she's a single mother. So here's the thing. I don't care about the race of your child. That's not what my concern is here. The Groypers do, right? But it is ironic that now she wants to lecture us all as a single mother. I mean, no offense, you're a single mom.
Yep.
Okay. When it comes to divorce, when it comes to like marriage and things like that, I've only been married for 2 years. Okay. So I've only got so much experience. When it comes to like dating, I have way more experience on that. So like I have a little bit of experience with marriage. You have experience with marriage. You have experience with divorce. But we're not hypocrites because we're libertarians.
That's how that works, right?
Yeah. We're not traditional conservatives. We're not trying to moralize to other people about how they need to live their lives. So what I'm calling out specifically to the people that like, especially the anti-immigration, like right wingers who are just like, oh my God, we're going to tell you all how to live and we're going to tell you how the economy works and you can't hire illegals with these Mexicans and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, now you're going to get it. You're going to reap what you sowed. This is what you sowed. Now you're going to get it. Go ahead, Camille.
And I think part of the reason Lauren is pushing back against this so much is because she was on that side of things for so long that now she's kind of been called out by some of these guys who've been in the red pill community, like Rollo Tomasi and some others. And so there's been some interaction there that I think has made her even more reactionary. And when we talk about, the current iteration of the red pill movement and how it's really kind of gone off the rails, just as Tomasi kind of predicted, who are the prevalent voices in it? Is Andrew Tate, although he's declining some.
She has a supercut of these people and some of the more controversial comments they said. Let me play it real quick.
Okay.
It's like 30 seconds long.
Yep.
Take a listen to this. So these are the more inflammatory comments.
Millions more people with different ideologies come into our country.
So she's blaming
and
the
that
red pill
becomes
movement on
millions more
immigration,
people
which
to
is
make money off of on super
Weird.
chats,
It's-
on events,
It's a cope.
everything. Who cares about morals? Who cares what right wing actually thought 10, 15 years ago? There is money to be made.
Right, it's money.
Have
Sure.
sex with any guy they want to.
You're supposed to have sex with him whenever he says.
Women simply just don't care.
Care too much about the bitch.
This is the perfect example that you can be dumb as a girl and make it through life, bro.
What? No.
What did you say? Fuck the woman! Fuck the woman!
If your dad cheated on your mom, how would you feel?
I'd applaud him. I'd be like, fuck yeah, you got your money up, man. I think if you're in a serious relationship with a girl, she should not have an Instagram. That's cheating.
Men don't really need a woman.
Can't divorce, and that's not a real thing.
Even though it might be like physically abusive.
You gotta endure.
I recently decided that women shouldn't vote.
Oh, I might like family more than you, so much I have 5.
I'm doing this for money. It's all about money to me.
Yeah, that was deceptive editing there, but
So many of the people I think that she talks about are also people who, lo and behold, it's come out that they are hypocrites. Like they're actually betraying the very values that they're preaching. Whereas the people who have been in this a long time and basically are kind of like founders of this movement are also the people who've been married for a long time.
yes.
And they have stable relationships and they're actually living what they talk about.
So Howard Rorka is kind of confused about who we are, right? Because it's difficult just from listening to this show. If this is if this is your first time watching our show, you're going to be very confused about who we are, right? So I'm Austin Peterson, host of the Wake Up America show. I'm here with my friend Camelia Peterson. We're not related, but we're right-wing libertarians, right? We're members of the Republican Party. We're very laissez-faire when it comes to social interactions and things like that in relationships. What we despise is being preached to by these tradcons about how to live our lives, and everybody has to live their life according to these very strict guidelines. And then it comes out that these are all hypocrites. And now we have this cope that's going on with these right-wing female influencers who have built their careers, made their money on being anti-feminist, right, pro-male, right? They probably would have called themselves red pillars a few years ago until now they're all terrified of it, right? And we're calling out the hypocrisy of these tradcon influencers. I don't consider myself to be like red pill or whatever. Like, I'm a libertarian, right? I believe in freedom. Now, but I understand that if you're going to talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, you have to talk about the cultural roots that are pushing diversity, equity, and inclusion standards. And as I said earlier, the first DEI programs were for women.
Sure.
Let's get women in college. Let's get women in this, right? So we're calling out these hypocrites of these conservatives who are saying to us, moralizing to us about how to live our lives. And now they're being hoisted by their own petards, right? The mixed race baby thing that we're going to play the go ahead. I'm going to play the clip.
I think this is a good example of, things that started with good intentions, like affirmative action or whatever. They thought they were helping people, end up having all of those unintended consequences, and it's actually authoritarian.
Yeah, it is. Well, they're all authoritarians, right? So it's like, listen, I got booed in a libertarian debate for saying I don't think you should be able to sell heroin to kids, right? I don't think that children should be allowed to choose their gender or transition or do anything like that. Adults should be allowed to do as they please, provided they harm no one else. It's a completely different matter. So in that sense, I'm a right-wing fascist, misogynist, homophobe to the left, right? But to the right, we're wild libertine, blah, 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 blah. No, you're just all authoritarian retards, and we're libertarians who want to live our lives as we see fit, and we're fully armed and ready to defend our liberties against fascists like yourselves. Now, I'm not a groyper, and when I hear Nick Fuentes every once in a while, I usually roll my eyes, And
Usually.
oh my God. But today I was listening to a clip where Nick Fuentes was calling out Lauren Southern. And while I didn't agree with, everything that he was saying, I thought he made some interesting points because he was calling out what they're calling right-wing girl dad, right-wing girl dadism. Now, I'm about to be a girl dad, right? So I was kind of, my feathers were a little ruffled when I heard that, right? So I wanted to try and to understand what Nick Fuentes was saying in his video here. And we're going to play that clip right now. We're going to pause it and react to it and talk about it for the next hour. Somebody bought a box of coffee or something like that, it looks like. Thank you very much. So we're $35 towards our $60 goal this morning. Thank you very much for making that purchase from apforlibertyshop.com. If you want to see today's true conspiracy documentary, make sure you either get those donations in or head on over to apforlibertyshop.com and get yourself something real nice this morning. Just real nice. Yes.
Maybe even a Javier Malay coffee cup.
Yes.
I got one.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Javier Malay coffee cup, something like that. All right. So let's play the Nick Fuentes clip and let's react to it. Here we go.
But I want to talk about one thing really quickly before we do, which is over the past couple of weeks, I've been talking a lot about marriage and about the role of women in politics and in this thing. And somebody asked me on my show on Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday or Monday, somebody said, why is it that your most unpopular video is you talking about how marriage is the end of the male life cycle? And I launched into this whole rant about it. And I did a rant about it last week on one of the Rumble streams. And then I saw this tweet today from, I actually don't know the guy. It's some anonymous Twitter. I covered this on my last Rumble exclusive. Lauren Southern put out a tweet last week, and she said, these are the top 5 right-wing Twitter users that talk about women and gender dynamics in a way that isn't toxic and problematic. And I went on my stream and said, if some busted up, used up, single mother like Lauren Southern is giving you good boy points on Twitter, because that's what she is. She rode the carousel and slept with every guy in the alt-right in 2016 and 2017. And she went out there and pretended to be like a white nationalist waifu, white nationalist trad thought mommy.
Okay, I don't know anything about obviously her history there, so that's just speculation at this point. But I can say that she very much did bill herself as this, queen of the alt-right, pro-white America, all this stuff. But then she has a mixed race child, and she marries a literal Fed, which to me her crime is marrying the Fed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about the mixed race. I care about the Fed, right? And then he divorces her. And now she's a single mom on a tear against the red pill community and men who are trying to take back their power in society and be leaders and blaming it on immigration imported by the left. There's a lot of cope going on here. One of our listeners just made a Rumble Rant donation, Captain Tight Pants, thank you, said, it's clear that extreme red pill tradcons are a reaction to the ultra feminist yes queen people who say OnlyFans is empowering. Correct.
Sure.
100% correct. Like the people like Pearl and Tate and all that kind of stuff, right? You're not like you were always complaining. They're not going to listen to the more nuanced, people who aren't going to say things like women shouldn't vote and all these kinds of stuff. The people are going to listen to the wildest, most extreme voices. That's why people listen to Nick Fuentes, and he's got his following, right? Because he says extreme things. He gets a lot of people tuning in and listening to what he has to say. Some of what he says here is correct. You don't want to admit that.
I'm waiting to hear it.
Let's continue.
Then she went and married an Asian guy, okay? So she's like Danish. She's like Northern European. She's Nordic as fuck. She married an Asian guy. Not only did she marry a brown Asian guy, but the guy was a Fed. The guy was literally an intelligence agent for a Western intelligence agency, okay? So you add...
Which I think is the real crime.
Yeah,
what did you expect, right? You claim to hate feds so much. Like, if you're a right-wing provocateur, the feds are your enemy and you marry one? I mean, again, I don't care that he's Asian or whatever. But I only care that it seems to be hypocritical when that's kind of your whole thing. White Western civilization is crumbling down around us. We're just pointing out what appears to be hypocrisy here. I don't care about the mixed race question. I care about the Fed question, and that seems to be the most hypocritical thing of all. You're American, you've got you're waving the M16s and all this stuff, and you claim to hate the Feds, and then you marry one. Seems a bit hypocritical to me, but maybe it really is the immigrants that have come into the left in the world that are making me say things like this, Camellia. If there hadn't been all those leftists importing all the third world here in the United States, I would have a different opinion on this. I'm just trying to pander to left-wing immigration.
That's it, huh? Okay.
What the hell is this? It's a cope. Yeah. All right, let's continue.
All these white nationalist simps who said, why is Nick Fuentes attacking Lauren Southern? She's so beautiful, and she's a net positive for our movement. She's red-pilling people. I said, watch. She's just like the rest of them. She is a woman. If she really wanted to help, she'd marry a white guy and have white kids. And she would shut up, and she'd be at home raising kids.
Oz. Okay.
We should just say for the record that Nick Fuentes is a racist pansy.
Yes.
To put it there.
I actually respect him because later on in this video, we're going to get to it. Later on in this video, he actually says he's not like a paragon of masculinity. Right? He even says that. Right. But I mean, to some extent, these tradcon females, listen, we're being lectured to by single moms. Like, as conservatives, it's not just like red pill or something like that, but you're gonna go out there and I know you're a single mom, Camellia, so it's a touchy subject for you. But I mean,
side of this with single dads, how's that work?
Well, it's a different dynamic. First of all, because listen, what's the equivalent of the deadbeat dad in society? What do we demonize? Single moms are raised are saints. You are all elevated to be gods living above us. Single moms, INDEPENDENT. You know what I mean? You can't criticize single moms. I mean, even Republicans are like, oh my God, if she has a dick, give it to me. I'll take it all. Give me all your love. Right? Hold on.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm going to come.
For single moms. Right, we're supposed to, Camellia, maybe not demonize single moms. Oh, thank you, Trump. Maybe not demonize single moms, but we're supposed to discourage it, right? Maybe even shame it a little bit if you're conservative. Right? We're not supposed to elevate single moms to sainthood, but there's no such single dads. We don't lift up single dads and say, oh, society doesn't love single dads.
Right. No, and I think you're absolutely right. And I think that, you're also right in that we don't necessarily need to elevate it because it's not the ideal, right? It's not the ideal scenario for a family.
Right. But again, being lectured to about marriage and all those kinds of issues by single moms, you could understand why people would be like, thank you, lady. Mm-hmm. We appreciate it. Thank you for your opinion. But if you really are a traditional conservative, why are you lecturing me as a single woman who's divorced about conservatism and what it means to be a man and how men should behave? Don't tone police us, okay? Stop trying to tell men how they should talk and behave. You want us to be leaders in society? That's fine. You know what it means when the leader is talking or when the leader is in charge? What do you do when the leader is talking? When school is in session, and the teacher is teaching, what do the students do, Camellia?
They should be quiet.
They should shut up.
They should shut up.
Yes, you're talking out of turn, ladies. For people who claim to want leaders, to want men who are leaders, you're sure doing a lot of talking. You're sure doing a lot of tone policing of men, I notice. We don't like men's tone. We don't like when men talk like this. Look at these men. They're misogynists. They're acting like Muslims. Whee! Am I being ridiculous, Camellia?
Maybe a little hyperbolic, but
Well, it is a show. Let's continue.
She wouldn't be out sleeping with everybody and doing these streams. She doesn't even know what she's talking about. And then not only does she sleep with everybody, she marries a non-white Asian Fed. They have a kid. and then he leaves. Then he divorces her. So now she's like 30 years old, plastic surgery, single mom, used up, divorced by this Asian Fed, and now she's like rebranding as a centrist. And she goes on Twitter last week, and of course, now the talking cheese is going to lecture us about Western civilization. Now this used up single mom divorcee is going to come on Twitter and say, this is how you talk about gender. No. Don't be toxic. Hey, excuse me, incel.
Yeah. Now we're all being lectured to by you ladies after years of telling us we need men to be men. I love it when I hear from what is the equivalent when a woman says man up? What's the equivalent like for a man to say to a woman? Vagina up? Right? What is that? Right? So it's like you don't know what it means to be a man. Okay?
Make me a sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah, right. But here's the thing. Like I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about what masculinity is or what it means to be a man, right? I don't want to hear it. I want to hear lecture, right? Because all I've heard my whole life in this gynocracy that we have lived under is how we should be sensitive to women and have feelings and show your emotions. But if you dare show your emotions, we're going to cut your balls off fast. We will not date you and all these kinds of things. And we live in this authoritarian shithole that has been crafted by mostly Marxist, leftist, feminists, but has been aided and abetted by tradcon feminists as well, right? Because plenty of conservative women are feminists as well, who LARP as anti-feminists and do it. She's, Lauren Southern is accusing people like, myself or red pill influencers doing this only for cash. What are you doing it for?
Yes.
What do you do? I imagine you're getting paid for these opinions, right? I imagine that you're probably in the same industry that we are. Let's continue.
Don't be toxic when you talk about women. When you talk about gender relations.
I love it. Yeah, especially because don't be toxic when you talk about women. This is one of the themes I see now from like the Lauren Chens and the Lauren Southerns and stuff like that, is that like, we're going to vote Democrat if you're mean to us. That's one thing have you been seeing this on X? They're like, and you've been saying it too, Camellia. You've been saying
I am not voting. What are you talking about?
You have been saying, okay, hold on. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Watch your tongue.
Hold on. You have not been saying, I'm going to vote Democrat if you're mean, but you have been tone policing a bit, suggesting that, well, if men are talking like this, you are going to scare the women away. If men talk like men or act like men, then the women are going to run away.
No.
No. To me, Camellia.
No. Yeah, I'm going to correct you.
You let him hit it raw. Now you're single, mom. Okay, go ahead.
Plug your ears because you should not listen to me because I'm a single mom.
God, yeah, you're red. Let me put the fan on you, Camellia. You're very red right now. Go ahead.
No. You're right. I have been saying that the rhetoric matters.
Yes.
Right. So I do think that
you're tone policing.
It's a matter of balance.
Are you tone policing?
Well, sure. I mean, if you want to call it that, that's fine. I mean, I do think that there is an issue with tone and that, there needs to be some balance. We need to also allow people to rise to our expectations. But I also think that it is true that the red pill movement is for men. Now, it has it's been put out there for everybody because it's out there on social media. So obviously women are exposed to this too, and they're going to react.
Right.
And if the guys are out there saying, like all women are bad, and I realize that we all generalize about things.
Sure, we're talking in big generalities.
Right. And so I think that's where I think the reactions from the women, especially conservative women here lately to this has been that, like, if you hear, because this has gotten so mainstream and it's gotten so much attention, that it's like a drumbeat and like you hear it all the time. And I'm not going to lie, like, even for me, there are times like, I'm just really tired of hearing that because I'm not that way. Right. And so like you start to take it a little personally, even though like it doesn't apply to you.
I get that. Again, yeah, you're not going to go off and suggest that importing third world immigration into the country is why men are acting like misogynists. Right. Obviously. Okay. This is a great conversation, great topic. We're going to have Daniela Pensac on. It's Thirsty Thursday after all, and she's got a master's degree. She's highly educated. Yes. She looks like, a Greek goddess, right? So she's absolutely gorgeous. She kind of reminds me a little bit of Lauren Southern in her earlier days, right? And so it'll be interesting to get her take on it, because she's also very anti-feminist,
Right.
but has a master's degree and has gone on to higher education.
Daniela and I are often on the same page
Yes,
on this.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's going to be interesting to get her take. But here's the thing. Women's rise in society, to an extent, has come at the expense of men.
Yes, I would agree with that.
If men come back and take their place in society, that will come at the expense of women to an extent.
That's possible.
That is why these women are upset. That is why the Lauren Southerns and these other people are upset. They are upset because when men start to take their rightful place in society, when men act like men, when men become the proper leaders, when men become the leaders in the home, and when men are the final word on some important decisions. Stephanie and I had I'll tell you this little personal story. We had a little disagreement about guns in the household and where the guns would be and while those places. And while I did make a small compromise, I explained to her very clearly that I am the one who puts my physical, mortal life in danger when it comes to someone coming into this home. I think it's reasonable to take precautions.
Right.
My family-in-laws did not like this, right? There are guns all over my home, okay, right? I've got them strategically placed, right? Because you know why? Because I will make the decision about where the guns will be.
Sure.
And the reason why is because it's my job to protect the household. So Stephanie gets 1 vote on that, and I get 2. Okay.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
You're going to be the ones using them.
Correct. And while it's reasonable to suggest that we shouldn't have guns laying around with their safeties off in the middle of the baby room, right? I will make the decision about the strategic defense of this family because I am the one who puts their life on the line. I am the leader, and my 2 votes will outvote you on this one. You get a vote and you get to caucus, but I get 2 votes, okay? And in these decisions, right, there might be an emotional problem that my daughter will have or something like that. And in such a case, there might be Stephanie, who is a therapist, is going to be more equipped to deal with something like that than I am, okay? That's what it means to really be traditional, is to accept the differences between men and women and to allow the natural relationship between men and women to flourish. But ultimately, the man has to make the call. The decisions, ultimately, because why would you marry a man that you didn't trust to steer you into a storm?
Well, that's just exactly it, right? And I think that's a good argument for people being better prepared. And I think that's why it's important that we talk about these things now. And I'm kind of glad they are becoming, more elevated in, the cultural conversation, because what's important right now is that we are raising our kids to be cognizant of these things and to, do that work on themselves so that they can be, a good partner for somebody else. Because too many people, I think this is what has been so wrong for us culturally, is too many people go in looking for, a partner in life, and they look for somebody that makes up for their own weaknesses. And we all, people are attracted to.
But one of the things that women hate in a man is indecision, right?
Right.
So you want a man to be decisive.
Sure.
That means that you've got to trust him to make decisions for you.
Right. So you should
For the family.
Yes. So you should go in knowing
That's
somebody and
misogynist.
knowing what to look for, right?
That's not equality.
What's not equality?
It's not equality when a man is the one who makes decisions, who steer. When you're in a storm, the man takes the helm, the woman grabs the kids and takes them below deck. That's not equality. When
That's
you're
not equality.
Yeah,
Yes.
when you're equal, we all go down with the Titanic. You're getting on the boats with us, okay?
Right.
What we live in is a world where it's still women and children first. Oh, and actually women and children before first, above men, and we're going to throw men off of the side to make the boat lighter so that the women and children can go forward.
Don't you think that there is something innate in you, and especially now that you're expecting a daughter, isn't there something in you that says, I will do anything, I will give my life to protect the life of my daughter,
and it also confirms my belief that I will be the decision maker. I will be the decider.
Sure.
It confirms my role as a leader, right?
Agreed.
Like the feeling of the impending birth of my daughter gives me more masculine power.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Right? Because like guarding women, like this is why we go to war, right? To protect our women and our children, right? So that is that Titanic's send them on the lifeboat first. Would I do that? Yes, absolutely. But what we have in America right now is a situation where we still sacrifice men, we still throw them overboard, and then we also place women in the role as men, and we say this is equality when women are actually leading and taking the jobs from men and taking the positions in academia for men. DEI was started for women. So when we start to get rid of DEI, that means women aren't going to get a leg up. It means they aren't going to get the job in the corporate board just because they're a chick.
Because we should be a meritocracy.
That's right. Well, there you go. Well, yes. And what would that mean? That might mean more female nurses, and that might mean more male engineers. All right. We've got about 6 minutes left until we get Daniela on this. I can't wait to get her take on all this. I hope she's been monitoring this, because I did send it to her this morning and say, Daniela, be ready because we're going to talk about Nick Fuentes and all this stuff. But I've got a couple more minutes. We did unlock the bonus documentary, by the way.
Awesome. Are we going to get to the part where Fuentes talks about yoga pants?
No, but I like that part.
Still talking about yoga pants, for heaven's sake.
We're only like 4 minutes into this 23-minute long video. But
no.
we got a couple more minutes. So let's hear more what the National Socialist has to say.
And she puts out a tweet and says, these are the 10 accounts that are really good boys, and they don't talk about women in such a toxic way. Like I said, now the talking cheese is going to lecture us. Now the single mom toll-paid divorcee is going to lecture us. And this was one of the accounts that she listed, in addition to Mike Cernovich, who, Jeremy Boring also said was a Shabbos Goy criticizing Israel. But anyway, this was one of the accounts. I saw this tweet today. It was too good not to bring up. The account is called Edmund Smirk, who is now greenlit by the Groypers, okay? If you see this guy, it's on site, okay? Dox this guy, no, I'm kidding. But this guy, it is on site. If you see
Yeah, no, he's not kidding. He's going to talk about what this Edmund Smirk guy on Twitter said about Michael Knowles. We're getting to girl dad rightism.
This guy in public, no, we can't say stuff like that. I really got to watch that. It's so good. It's so fun, but...
So this is reasons why I think Nick is the Fed, but continue.
The country's too gay for this. You start to say stuff like, hey, if you see this guy in public, kill him with a crowbar.
See, that's why I think he's a Fed, because he's inciting these people to violence and stuff. Then they're going to get hooked up. He might have been compromised.
So I'm not going to say that. I'm not actually encouraging violence. I'm just kidding, okay?
You should say in Minecraft, Nick.
But this guy's a piece of garbage.
Okay,
and he
continue.
put out you'll understand what I mean when I read the tweet.
Get there, Nick. Come on.
He went on Twitter tonight and said the following, and I quote, he said, Michael Knowles said that transgenderism should be eradicated from society. Whoa. Whoa. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. What did he say next? That there's only two genders? Oh my goodness. And then what did he say after that? Don't drink Bud Light? Oh my, wow. Anyway, I'm going to stop. I'll read it.
He's making me laugh.
Edmund Smirk says, Michael Knowles said that transgenderism should be eradicated from society. A few days later, he went on the Whatever podcast. As the regime was trying to cancel him and ruin his entire life, Michael swooned the entire panel of liberal chicks by respectfully disagreeing with them. Okay? And not attacking them for being women every 5 seconds. He did not waver on a
Is Edmund Smirk your account, Camellia? Was that you who tweeted
one
this?
of his stances, not on prostitution or abortion or feminism. Anybody who tells you that girl dad rightism is about being a squish is a liar and a fraud. Just stop scaring the hoes. This is a real fucking tweet, by the way, okay? A real faggot piece of shit typed this up and published this on Twitter unironically, without irony. This wasn't a joke. He said, can you believe it? Michael Knowles said transgenderism sucks. But then he won over all the liberal chicks because he respectfully disagreed with them. Get a load of this, motherfucker. Really? Sorry for the language, but really? And they're calling it girl dad rightism. Could you be a bigger pussy?
Okay, Daniela Pensac's on the line, but I promised them that they would get to see the mini documentary, so this is going to be the best opportunity to do so. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a little 5-minute break, guys. Cool off, right? Like wash the Nick Fuentes off of you for just a moment. Daniela's in the waiting room. She's ready to go. We're going to have her on the show. We're going to get her take on these opinions. Camelia, did you want to say anything real quick before we go? Before we hop off into the bonus?
Nick Fuentes is a racist.
Okay, fine. He's Mexican. He can't be racist. He's the Mexican face of white supremacy. Okay, all right. Here comes the bonus content. Enjoy today's True Conspiracy mini documentary. You unlocked it. Thank you. Love you guys. Appreciate your support of the show. When we get back, Daniela Pensac on all of that and more. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be spicy. It's going to be sexy. It's Thirsty Thursday on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Episode of the Wake Up America show's bonus kind of skepticism that had escalated since the Vietnam War and Watergate scandal. The Iran-Contra affair underscored the challenges and controversies of exercising presidential power, raising enduring questions about government accountability and ethics in foreign policy. This complex episode left a lasting imprint on American political history, reflecting the intricate and often contentious nature of international relations and executive power during the late 20th century.
Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. Hope you all enjoyed that bonus content mini documentary, True Conspiracies. This week's theme, the Iran-Contra scandal of Ronald Reagan fame. I see you guys were enjoying that today. Thank you to our supporters for making those donations and also making purchases at apforlibertyshop.com. You unlock the bonus content, you get to see it. Today we've had an unbroken string of mini documentaries that you all have unlocked since we started this. It's been a huge success. And I'm very grateful for the support from people like yourselves to help us to do that, to bring more content like what you're watching and listening to. We've got well over, God, how many people watching? 2,000 people watching the Wake Up America show live today. What's going on, peeps? Nice to see you all. It's been a little spicy today, which means I'm very thankful that I have Camelia in here to sort of soften me up in my soft boy era. What's up, CJ?
It just makes me think of when you were on radio before and you said your bosses liked me because I tamed the zaniness.
Yeah. Now I'm unleashed. I'm my own boss. It gets really weird, wild, and wacky on the Wake Up America show. Thirsty Thursday. It's not just about beautiful women, although that is a big part of it, because isn't it so much nicer to look at a screen when there's an attractive female like Camelia there? And then you might think, oh, my next guest, she basically looks like a Greek goddess. Is that all she's about? No, she's got a master's degree. She's brilliant. And that must mean that she's a feminist too, right, Camelia?
She posts those esoteric thirst traps.
She does.
Like my favorite kind.
She does. Very esoteric thirst traps. She dresses up her dog as like characters in it. It's all passion play. But she writes what you might consider to be anti-feminist literature. Yes. Is she one of those tradcons who wants to have it both ways? Let's hear from Daniela Pensac. She's joining us live. Oh God, what have you walked into this morning, Daniela?
I'm excited, Austin, to talk about this in depth. Am I a feminist? No, I don't like that terminology. I know that term has a lot of things attached to it, a lot of assumptions attached to it. And now the word egalitarian has a lot of things attached to it. Mm-hmm. So I guess the closest I could describe myself would be more egalitarian, I would say. I mean, you know this, Austin. But I can't consider myself a feminist, unfortunately, even though I have a master's.
We do need a word for women like this, right? That don't fit into any of those boxes. Like someone told me before, he was like, you're too egalitarian. But then he told me, he was like, but that works for you.
But there is a word.
Exactly.
But there is a word for it. Feminists.
Well, Daniela's right. It's loaded.
It's like saying, I believe in hardcore nationalism. I hate Jews and I want socialism, but I'm not a Nazi.
Yeah, I don't think that's
it. You're the result of feminism, are you not, Daniela? I mean, you went to college, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. You could argue that I'm the result of feminism, yes. I also think, though, I'm an exception in a lot of ways, considering that I left college with still right-wing ideas. That's very rare for both sexes. So I think I'm probably more adept at handling higher education. It's true, a lot of women are getting into higher education. They're coming out with these ideas that Marxist ideas, in fact, that I just think aren't conducive to a functioning society, a functioning nation. I think women are typically more susceptible to that, Austin. But so there is a question to be had, like, should more women go to school? We are pushing them in many ways, more than men. I mean, women take up higher education more than men now anyway. Like, what is it, 60, 70% at this point on average? So I think that propels a lot of issues in the country as well. So, but at the same time, I wouldn't consider myself a traditionalist or a trad person. I mean, you know me, you see my content. I think I clearly signal against that as well. I'm just trying to find the middle road here. You know what I mean?
Well, you're probably where we're at, right? So I'm a libertarian Republican when it comes to social issues, right? I'm very laissez-faire. Camille's the same way. You might be the same way as well, Daniela. But I read your content, and you seem to be signaling anti-feminist, right? But I guess what this conversation is really about, or this battle between Lauren Southern and Nick Fuentes, to an extent, is that Lauren Southern has sort of signaled herself as an anti-feminist and sort of painted herself as a tradcon to an extent, right? And is upset by what she claims is misogyny amongst the red pillars and right wingers who suggest that women should be put in their place, go to the kitchen, make me a sandwich. But what she said in her video, which you just watched, so you'll have to react kind of fresh onto this one, is she's blaming the importation of the third world into this, as if the immigration into this country is the reason why these right wingers are signaling as pro-masculine or acting bigoted or misogynist. What's your reaction to that?
I mean, obviously that's a big cope. I don't think that has anything to do with it.
Yes.
It could be like a tangential reason. I mean, I am seeing more people in the right wing, I guess more men on the right wing, kind of like signal to, especially with Andrew Tate and everything, and the people, especially in the manosphere, I think are like relating to Islam and Muslim people in the fight in the right wing against degeneracy or whatever you want to call it, right? Or wokeism. So I mean, there is a slight problem there. I've talked about that too, like on my Twitter, for instance. But as far as it like being the vehicle or propelling this anti-woman rhetoric in the right wing, that's clearly not the case. What you said, Austin, before I came on, the women advancing in the public world, in the professional world, is done at the expense of men, and vice versa. That's just how it's going to be. That seems to be the natural order of it, right? So if we want to offer women opportunities regardless, but also men, I mean, we have to figure out a way that we can do both, right? We should find a compromise, and I'm totally for that. But obviously with the last year, like what, 60 years or so, well, since I would say the 1960s, there has been a tendency to disallow men from, I would say, engaging in opportunities at the same level, because we have been working towards, empowering women in the workplace, and also minorities as well, following after that. So it has been done at the expense of men, and this is why we're seeing this complete reaction in the right wing naturally.
There's been a meme that goes around amongst many of these red pillars, right wingers. They say Islam. They'll say this to left-wing feminists. They'll say, because the left-wing feminists are all very pro-Hamas, right? Pro-Islam. They'll say, Islam is right about women. But, right. And Islam, this is from my buddy Relaxed Brain over there. He says, and Islam fights back against Drag Queen Story Hour, the tranny agenda, and out-of-control women. So you had me in the second half, maybe this is not the first half, but
we are not going to talk about what the imams do to boys, though, are we?
No, we're not going to talk about that for sure, right? The boy effing that goes on there. This is a reactionary movement to the excesses of leftist feminism. What we're really talking about here, though, Daniela, is the right-wing tradcons, these women, who have sort of LARPed as anti-feminists, but in reality, they fall back to the position where you are and where Camellia is right now, when all of a sudden the gains that were made by the original diversity, equity, and inclusion standards, which were for women, not for minorities, the first DEI was for chicks, start to come at the expense of women. When men start to act like men and start to take leadership roles, which they've been advocated for, all of a sudden they like to fall back. It's a Mott and Bailey fallacy. I don't know if you're familiar with this, right? Where Mott and Bailey, where you make a position on one side and then you fall back to a more defensible position once you make an extraordinary claim, then you fall back to something more reasonable to do. Oh, I'm only saying this. I'm just asking questions. I'm just saying this, right? So the rot on the right is to have these women in traditional conservative roles. But let me ask you something, Camille. If you're a traditional conservative woman, should you be posting thirst traps on Instagram? Should you have an Instagram at all? If you're not you, right? You're more libertarian. But if you're a traditional conservative female influencer and you got all these pictures of yourself looking hot and you never talk about your husband ever online, there's no pictures of you together, right? Is that really how traditional conservative women ought to be behaving if they really believe what they say about things like feminism and all of this? Daniela, your take?
Yeah, I think it's very tempting for a lot of women, to fall down the traditional wife pipeline. Either that's how they get more attention. That seems to be the trend right now, so that's what they're going to fall into. It's not traditional to have an Instagram or to post pictures of yourself, obviously. I mean, as observing this unfold for the last year or two since it's become a trend, I've been really aware. I would say, Austin, I would say I'm a very self-aware person. Okay, listen, it's not like I was tempted to fall down that pipeline either, considering my political proclivities. However, I'm aware of this, and I think it's downright stupid to claim that you're a traditional or you're anti-feminist, like entirely, or at least not acknowledge the advancements that feminists or feminism has done for women, but also go online and say you're completely against it, while also benefiting from it. So like clearly there's a major hypocrisy here. And I think it's silly that women are posing as like trad LARPing wives and having these online careers. It's completely hypocritical.
Right, which is why whenever I'm getting lectured to by these trad cons, like I just fling the rhetoric back in their face of how a man would behave, right, if I was some patriarchal, misogynist, right-wing hater, because that's what they've been encouraging, right? And it's like, I'm not religious. How do you feel, for example, about women in church, Daniela, taking leadership roles in church? I mean, you're more libertarian on those kinds of things, but I mean, it would appear to me as if that is not the kind of thing that a traditional conservative might be in favor of. Your take on it?
Oh boy. Well, listen, I'm when it comes to church, that's a completely different arena we're talking about here, right?
That's traditional conservatism.
Yeah. Well, listen, as far as like my idea, like women having place, let's see, an authoritarian place in the church, or like women pastors, for instance. I come from the Protestant tradition, so I guess you could say I'm a little bit more lackadaisical on that. But I think when it comes to more spiritual matters, perhaps, and this is Austin, you're not religious, so it's going to be a little bit like off the wall here. But I think when it comes to spiritual matters, it's best to have men in place for that. When it comes to more like administrative or public matters, government, I think women can participate. There are exceptions, of course. I think there's always exceptions. Women can also be leaders in the church, but I think that is few and far in between, far more so than in the public sphere. So I separate like church. Yeah, I separate church and state drastically here. But listen, I mean, we can talk about like hypocritical women, being LARPing as trad wives and whatnot and not living the lifestyle. But I mean, can we acknowledge that like, we're listening to Nick Fuentes here? Is he, like you said, is he really the paragon of masculinity?
No,
like,
but
come on.
But here's the thing: he gets points. He gets points from me in this video because towards the end of the video, I don't know if you listened to the whole thing. He says he's not the paragon of masculinity.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it. Yeah.
Right. He doesn't try and paint himself like he's a Navy SEAL or something like that. He said towards the end, like, I'm not trying to police other men's masculinity to some extent. But what he was criticizing in that video was right-wing dadism, right-wing dads or girl dads.
Yeah.
Right. And essentially like the Michael Knowles types who don't want to offend women, who are on Lauren's good boy list, right? These are men who talk about women in respectful ways, right? Because like I incorrectly accused Camellia of earlier, and I was wrong when I accused her of tone policing, although you did admit that you do tone police a little bit. that it's kind of like there's this dueling narrative, right, where we get what we're hearing from our women on the right, our right-wing females are telling us, we want a man who takes leadership, but we also want to go get our advanced degrees, and we also want to make more money than you, but we want you to pay on the first date, right? There's these conflicting narratives that we're getting. It's almost as if you all are actually just feminists who happen to believe in a few right-wing things, right? You're actually just social conservatives, right? So there's atheist feminists who are leftists, and then there are social conservative right-wing chicks who are also feminists. The only difference is just that one believes in God and the other doesn't. Go ahead, Camille.
I was going to say, Daniela mentioned that, she thinks that men should be in leadership roles, maybe more of the time, kind of women being in those roles is kind of the exception to the rule, so to speak, if I was understanding you right. But I was thinking the other day, this applies to so many things because we do things, politically even, that are kind of hypocritical sometimes to our ideals and our standards and our principles, because when you've been talking about the whole, the atomic bomb business, things like that, and you talk about those hard decisions. And I think that's where we have the ideal, but then we also recognize that there are exceptions within that.
Yeah, no, you want what every woman wants, which is to have your cake and eat it too. You want to have women's liberation, and then you also want to have a man who makes more money than you. And Daniela and I, we've talked about this, right? Can't you see the conflict, Daniela, in like what even you are sort of saying to some extent, right? When you go and you get these women in advanced degrees like yourself and you're making more money, you still want a guy to like perform all the trad functions and all this kind of stuff. But all you're really setting yourself up for is a life of beta simps who are going to make less money than you, who are going to be less educated from you, who are going to simp. And that the only man that could ever meet a standard for women like yourselves in this, and listen, I know I'm picking on you ladies. I love you very much. But, she's a single mom. Camille's a single mom. You're a woman of advanced education here. Where are you ever going to find a man? How are you ever going to find a man when you put yourself and you're on the right that could ever meet your standards? Camelia, your IQ is 180 off the charts. You're never going to find a man. You're never going to find a man because you won't submit. Because the only men that you're going to see that are going to come for you are going to be simps. Beta males who make less money than you.
Are you equating, Austin, are you meaning to say that you equate IQ and income level with whether or not a man is alpha or beta?
I would put it as part. I would put income and I would put intelligence. There are multiple factors for something like that.
Really?
I would absolutely include because a woman looks at it like that. A woman takes a man's intelligence and a man's income, his ability to provide, as a sign of masculinity. He needs to man up. He needs to pay for me. He needs to pay for my kids. He needs to earn, right? Yeah. Well, I do think that is part of it. It's not the entire factor. There's many things that make a man, just like there's many things that make a woman. But Camelia is going to struggle because she is brilliant. She loves literature and linguistics, and she's smart and she's beautiful. And how is she going to find a man in Southwest Missouri who's ever going to meet her standards? And Daniela, you're beautiful. You're a goddess, and you've got this advanced degree. How are you ever going to find a man that is going to match up to these standards? Like, most men are not getting the degrees that you're getting. Most men aren't going to make the kind of money that you're going to make, Danielle. I mean, how are you guys going to square these circles and find good men in society that are going to outmatch you? There's you could fit on the head of a pin the men that might make it live up to both of your standards, ladies.
Such optimism.
And I say this as a man who cares for you very much. How would you react to this, Daniela?
Well, Austin, I do agree that a lot of women need to make compromises. I've always said this. However, I will say it is possible to have higher education as a woman and be in a relationship with someone with less education and makes less than you. I would know this because I presently am doing that myself. So I'm announcing that right now. Okay. I'm in a relationship.
My wife has a higher degree than I do too, by the way.
Right, exactly. It's possible. And I'm aware though, it is a lot of women, it's uncomfortable for them to make that compromise, especially if they went to school and they went through that process. But it's possible and it needs to be done. So that's all I got to say. If women need to or want to make more and make higher or get higher education, compromises are going to be made. It's not a sustainable system
Settle.
to want
right?
to be
You're gonna have
more
settle?
educated.
You think women need to settle?
I mean, I don't like to use that term
I know
settling.
you
though.
don't
It's
like
so-
that term. I know.
like,
That's why I used
it's
it.
well, it's mean. Well, it's mean. Come on, just because a guy it doesn't have like a master's or a PhD. I mean, is it settling, Austin? Did your wife settle for you? I would hope she loves
Well,
you,
that's an
right?
interesting, yes, but that's an interesting conversation because when I said I talked about those things, those signals that there are many different things that make a man. You know, you could look by almost any measure and think that, oh, well, Stephanie is settling, right? But I'm a man of accomplishment. I'm a man who has social value, right? So the value of men comes from how much respect they get from a community, right? And women value that almost more than anything. Women value accomplishment almost more than they value money, if not probably more than they value money or education and things like that. Women do value education, but if a man is well respected in his community, if a man has a lot of friends, if a man is wanted by other women, the number one way to get a woman interested in you is to have other women interested in you. As a matter of fact, Stephanie actually told me last week, she said that back when I was still single, she was in like a little Facebook group with other girls, and they were all kind of competing amongst themselves to try and be like the girl who would like try and get me, right?
Wow.
That they loved that. They loved that, Daniela. There's nothing like social proof. When I used to go to bars in New York, if I was there with like maybe I had a girlfriend, but just a friend, and if she was like a 9 or a 10 and we were just hanging out, like it was social proof. Right. So there are things that make a man desirable to women that don't have to do with education or money. Those are only two factors, and those will only get you so far. Right. There's the dark triad of personality traits, dangerous men, right? Bad boys, right? So there's a lot of those types of factors. Camelia's looking like she wants to weigh in here. She's,
Ask Daniela if that is something that that is attractive to you, or that makes a man attractive, is that if he's wanted by a lot of other women. Because I'm just saying,
don't shake your head, Daniela.
Daniela
don't you lie.
and I,
don't you lie.
No,
don't lie.
I think we're both
I don't know if it's a
because
personal.
when he's like,
lies.
when you say something about that Facebook group, I'm like, that sounds like the worst thing ever. Like I would never spend my time in a Facebook group like that.
First of all, you lie. And
that's
second
cope.
of all,
I don't know. It's personal preference.
Okay, the problem is that like the women who come on the show are exceptional. Okay, there's a reason why, Daniela, you are a regular guest on this show. Okay, and it's because you're not an idiot. You're not an idiot, right? You're well spoken, and you have a brain in your head, and you contribute. Your contributions are very valuable here. Camelia is not an average woman. She is not an average. She is not an average. You're average woman. My wife is not an average woman. You are exceptional women, and the problem is sometimes you take what you are and you try to apply it to the average.
Perhaps,
right? And,
perhaps.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that. Okay, that's not how most women are going to be. Most women, speaking generally, are going to be attracted to a man if he is wanted by many other women.
This is where our egalitarian nature comes in, because we don't want to just assume that of other women.
I called you a liar, but are you calling me a liar? Are you saying this isn't true? Are you telling me this isn't true?
Are you saying most women are idiots, Austin?
I'm saying that I'm saying that when women see that there's a man who is wanted by many other women, that they see that as social proof.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. There's something to be said for most women. Again, I've never related to this, but I do see in other women where, if a man is really popular or desirable, they want him. But doesn't that go both ways? I mean, it's the same with men wanting women too. So
no,
I don't see
actually, if men see you surrounded, if a man sees you surrounded and giving time to lots of other men, that actually is a turnoff to us.
Oh, okay. So it's not just being desirable; it's also you giving attention to other women is what attracts women to you. Okay. That's even worse in my opinion.
No, it doesn't have to be. What applies to one doesn't have to apply to the other. That's why we're different. That's the whole point of this conversation, right? And ultimately, that's really what. But I mean, that's really what we're talking about here. Is that like there is a difference between the sexes, and that the rot that we're focusing on today. We can talk about leftist Marxists all day long and all their hypocrisies, and we know that. But there are many different types of schools of feminism. If you go to the Wikipedia definition, you'll find like 14 different schools. Libertarian feminism is an actual legitimate school of of feminism, and it has its own tradition, and you'll find many of them as writers for Reason magazine. Some of them are even sex workers, right? Some of them, like, have those liberal traditions. Some of them are more conservative, like you and like Camellia here,
I was
right?
going to say, there are a lot of women who are in sex work who are in red pill circles. It's it's been interesting to see, but yes.
Yeah, Tolly over in the chat says, I love that Daniela is never riled by AP's pot stirring. We are coming up towards the end, though, and I don't know if we're going to get kicked out of the studio today because I know they film, so I don't want to get in trouble and get kicked out, and then we're in the middle of having Daniela there. But I want to give Daniela the final word before we go. Is there, on this topic, obviously there's a lot of ground covered, but is there anything you'd like to zero in or make a statement? And Daniela, I hope you're not offended by any of the things I've said today.
Oh no, I like this spirited conversation. It's
good.
Fun.
Okay, good. All right. So anything else you'd like to say before we go?
I did want to say something about the girl dadism, though. It's interesting. What the thing with like Nick Fuentes, I can't help, me, Austin, I can't help but talk about Nick Fuentes. It gets you in a lot of trouble on Twitter, but his entire movement is completely unsustainable. Like, he says he's not the paragon of masculinity, which I guess is fine. I didn't realize he said that, but I feel like he's right. When men have girls, they soften their approach, but so is like he himself never got laid either. I feel like once his fan base gets laid, he's gonna lose it.
Agreed.
The whole
Agreed.
You know what I mean? That's all it takes. They're just a bunch of virgins.
Agreed.
So.
Danielle, where can people follow you online?
Twitter, it's at Danielle. I'm sorry, at Pensac Daniela. My last name, first name. Follow me on there. I'm trying to get more followers on Twitter. I have a Substack. You can find me on Substack, just Daniela Pensac. And if you want to really read my esoteric stuff. So, and on Instagram, I'm at official Daniela Pensac. So I hope to see you guys there.
Pensac. We'll see you there. Hey, yes. Danielle, thanks for being a good sport. We appreciate you very much. Thanks for rolling with the punches today. Have a good one.
See
you next week. All right, there you go.
So glad I got to be here when Daniela was
I
on.
know. It is so much fun. God. So Kelton just walked in. Kelton. We're live right now. We've got like 3,000 goddamn people watching the show. I would extend it, but I don't know what time you guys are filming today in the studio. Do we need to clear out of here by any certain time? Yeah. Okay, so we can go for like another 30 minutes. Okay, if we need to get out, just tell me. Okay. All right, we got a huge audience and we need to keep going. Do you need to leave at all, Camellia?
I'm okay.
You're okay to stick around? All right, we're going into overtime, baby. I can't just walk away from this. We didn't even finish the Nick Fuentes clip. Are you ready to finish it?
Yes, we need to talk about how we used to hit women.
Okay, yes, we do. Yes. Okay. Here we go.
Could you be more embarrassed to be white than right now in this moment? Our country is being raped to death. Okay?
This is
our
why
country
we need free
is
speech,
being
so we know these people exist.
To death by Jews and blacks and immigrants and you name it.
Well, that's what
and
Lauren
while
Southern
it's
says.
going on, women
Isn't that what Lauren Southern says? That like our country is being raped to death by Jews and blacks and immigrants?
Being bitches. They're bossing us around. They're whores. They're sleeping on whores. They're Our country is being raped to death by Jews and blacks and immigrants and you name it.
That's
and
right
while
wing.
It's going on, women
That's not right
are
wing.
being bitches.
And while it's going on, he says, hold on, what did he
around,
say about women? Hold on, what did he say there about women? That's the key part.
Are being
He says women are being
bitches. They're bossing us around. They're whores. They're sleeping around. They're wearing yoga pants.
Women.
They're
Right.
yoga
Wearing yoga pants. Oh my gosh, here we go again.
And they are.
Hey, Nick, it's not the 80s anymore.
Yes. But they are bossing us around. They are being girl bosses, and they are wearing yoga pants, Camellia. Are they not?
Women have always bossed men around. Do you know that? And since he's hung up on Jewish, have you ever heard like Jews talk about Jewish mothers?
Yes.
I mean, like this is, and it's not just within Jewish circles or
Yes.
Jewish ethnic. Like this is something.
Can't believe.
I think just because of the mother role,
Yes.
women have this reputation for bossing men
Yes,
around.
they
like
do. They do. But
it is what it is.
Right. Okay, here we go.
Are watching this go on. They're watching black people steal from Walmart and get rid of the self-checkout. They're watching immigrants come in and set up shop, building their tent in the middle of the city
Lauren's
square.
saying.
The cops are on strike. Everything's a Big Mac's $100.
True.
Your daughter's on OnlyFans. Your son's jerking off to it. And this is what the right-wing extremists look like. They're calling themselves girl dad rightists. I'm a girl dad. I respectfully disagree with women. I'm a girl dad. I'm a girl dad. I'm a girl dad. When OnlyFans whores tell me that they're gleefully aborting children, I respectfully disagree with them.
Yeah.
We're girl dads.
He's got a point. He's got a point that we're supposed to just, when these women go out there, they gleefully are aborting children, we're supposed to respectfully disagree with them. We don't want to scare them off because then they might vote Democrat. And we want men to be respectful when they approach these women who have been sleeping around, had 25 different abortions. We're not supposed to shame them, right? We're not supposed to shame women for this kind of behavior because that's misogynist. That's bigoted. How dare you speak to women like this? If a woman has 25 abortions, you can't be rude to her, says the tradcon feminist, because you need to be a girl dad who is a right-wing girl dad and all this kind of stuff. Nick's got a point.
I mean, to a certain extent, yes. I mean, there are, when you're talking about abortions for convenience, like that is.
Don't shame them.
And I
Tone
disagree with that.
police.
Like, I think that we need to, I mean, and that goes to a much deeper
Mercilessly,
problem. But yes,
mercilessly shame them.
I mean,
They're
here's the deal
murdering
too. Let me point out
Go
a
ahead.
discrepancy here. Like, so we're talking about, shaming women for abortions of convenience, while at the same time, men are saying that, or you're saying that men need experience and to be with lots of women, because never like, but kind of the abortions of convenience is
Yes.
sort of an outcome of that.
No, it's not. You know how many children I've had in my life? Like I had many girlfriends before I got married. Do you know how many children I had? 0. You know how many abortions I had? 0.
Right, but not all
You can
men
control that.
Well, I
Men
know
can-
that, but not all men do that. I mean, look at what
Well,
Fresh
they
and
should be
Fit or
shamed
whatever.
too. They should be
Right.
shamed too. I'm not saying that, but the thing is that you always want to play whataboutism, and today we're talking about y'all ladies. Okay?
What day do we talk about the men?
Yes. Every day, in every movie, and every television show, and every commercial, right?
Okay,
All day
very
long.
fair.
Deadbeat dads. We hear about it all day long, but on the Wake Up America show for 2.5 hours today.
We'll take our lumps today.
You'll take your lumps today. Yes. But metaphorically speaking, not physically, we will get to that.
Yes.
All right, right. But Nick has a point here. He has a point here that the right wings, the people, these right wing girl dads, right, and then maybe these tradcon feminists, they want to tone police people like us from shaming these women for their behavior. They don't want us to be mean to the women because they might vote Democrat. Right? You can't call a spade a spade. You can't call a hua, because that's mean. Ooh, that's how you know we live in a gynocracy. That's how you know that we live in a matriarchy, because we can't shame women for their bad behavior.
So Nick is he's doing some man shaming here, right? With as far as
hit
like
it raw.
what?
Now you're single, mom.
Okay. No, I mean, like he's dissing on men who call themselves girl dads, and then this is something like
I call myself a girl dad, right?
right. Like you see this in people's Twitter bios sometimes.
No,
and,
he's the girl dad rightists. So he's talking about these soft right-wing dads who are like, who are agreeing, who are the ones that Lauren Southern put on our list as speak appropriately about women. Women, you're not going to like how we talk about you if you hang out in the locker room. That's not your space. Get out. You're not supposed to be in there. Men aren't supposed to be in your locker room either, right? But you're allowing them in now.
Agreed.
You are not going to like how we speak about you. Too bad. That's why they invaded our private spaces, Camellia. They didn't like what was going on. They didn't like that we had exclusive clubs. They didn't like that we had, golf clubs, places where we could go and have these conversations, because when the internet happened and men had spaces and women peeked their ears in, we don't like this. We don't want you to have these conversations. This is rude, bigoted, and misogynist. You come in and you want to tone police us. And now when men are saying, you know what? We don't give a shit. If you're going to be here and you're going to listen to what we have to say, you're going to have to hear what we men have to say. And you don't have to like it, but you're going to have to listen. You're going to have to listen. They don't want to listen. They want to shut us down. They want to silence us. All of a sudden, it's Soyuz Rosy Republic. All you ladies start putting your little Marxist communist hats on.
But it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Thank you, Norm. You all turn into good little red leftists, Marxists, feminists, all that kind of stuff. Then the tradcon goes away. I see the spirit of the Lord leaving. And it's not about Jesus anymore, or having your place in the church. It's all about, it's this bizarre, immigrants are the reason why people are saying this.
That is really weird.
It's a red herring.
Yeah.
It's a red herring. What do you want to say?
No, like that's odd. And I mean, again, we're generalizing people. So.
Yes. I see that some of the Groypers who are in here watching, obviously they don't like a lot of what we're saying. I will say this, that for a lot of you who are watching the show for the first time today, you're not going to like me. Okay. Like, I'll just be honest. Like, I don't want to chase you off, because I'd rather you stick around, hear what we have to say. You're not going to make us not libertarians, right? We're not going to agree with Nick Fuentes' Heil Hitler shit, and we're not going to suddenly be big fans of Kanye West's political views, although I do love his music. But for some of you, if you are liking what you're hearing today, I would invite you, or maybe if you're not totally offended by everything we're saying here today, or if you don't hate libertarians, then do click the follow button on the channel and come back and join us. Tomorrow's Freedom Family Friday, so my smoking hot redheaded libertarian trad wife will be joining us in studio. Not tradcon, trad wife will be joining us in studio. She's 6 months pregnant now, and we're gonna have a baby, and I'm gonna be a girl dad soon, which is so ironic considering all this conversation and stuff. It'd be so much easier if I was having a little boy, what I mean? But now I gotta do. Now I gotta do well in terms of the red pill stuff, because now I gotta defend girl dadism to some extent, right? But anyways, if you're enjoying the conversation today, and stick around, come back tomorrow. Make sure you click the follow button. I'm not leaving just yet. I'm just saying that I haven't told you guys to like and subscribe in a little while. So subscribe the channel. Come back here tomorrow morning, because we're going to do the same thing all over again, except my wife will be here and we talk. Well, she's going to want to weigh in on all this and stuff. She's a big fan of Pearl Davis. Obviously, she's not a big fan of Nick Fuentes because she's a Jew, but it'll be a great conversation. So if you're not like Heil Hitler 24 hours a day, then you might like our content. Okay. But if you are a Heil Hitler, then you're probably not going to like us. All right. Speaking of Heil Hitler.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nazis are not big fans of libertarians. Okay. So let's continue. They would kill us first. Let's go.
We're girl dads. When black people rape my daughter and wife in front of me, we respectfully disagree with them. We're girl dads. When Lauren Southern has a mixed race anchor baby with an Asian fed, we don't attack her for being a woman. We respectfully disagree with her. And this is why you cannot take offense to what Andrew Tate is saying. And that was my initial reaction. I was kind of like, yeesh, that's a little anti-white. But then you look at what they're actually posting. I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican today. For all these people that say, Fuentes, that's not a white. He thinks he's a white nationalist? Not today. Try again tomorrow. Answer hazy.
Well, he's Fuentes, so he's he's not really he's not pure blood. We'd send him to the concentration camps, but I mean, he's now today he's joking, but he's saying today I'm white. Today he's Mexican because he's embarrassed to be a white person because of how these white people are behaving.
Try again tomorrow. I'm Mexican today because I don't want any part. I don't want any part of that. If you're a white guy, you need to grow some balls, and it doesn't mean that we hate women, okay? You've seen me. When I interact with women, I'm not like a spaz. When I encounter women, I'm not like, one of these
he claims to be a
weirdos
virgin. I do agree with you and Daniela, by the way, that I think that him getting laid is the end of his movement.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I would like to see
doesn't know how to
Fuentes
behave
interact
in
with
public.
women.
Me too.
Just out of sheer curiosity.
I would love to see what he would look like, because he's got these whiny. I mean, he even admits he's not the paragon of masculinity, right? So, I think watching him approach a woman and being like, it would not work very well.
He just said he's not a spaz.
Yeah. Well, he seems a little spazzy.
I'm so sick of this low test, beta male, and I really hate to say it. I'm not blaming it on Christianity. But the Christian religion, yes, even the trad Catholics are totally cucked to
He's
women.
right. He's right. They are cucked.
And I'm as Catholic as it gets.
He's talking about like, these a lot of these right-wing Christian types, the ones that are bowing down to the OnlyFans chick Nala, who's like a convert and stuff, and now they're lifting her up like it is in this total grift. This scammer OnlyFans girl who's now, made millions of dollars on OnlyFans. Then all of a sudden she's saved. Now she's going on all these right-wing shows, and all these right-wing chicks, these are feminists, are out defending her, right? Like she's famous for showing her butthole online. Let's put her up as a paragon of femininity, as someone that we need to lift up, right? But again, it is a grift, right? For most of these people, it's like that guy, the stripper that was in the thing in Springfield,
Yes.
right. They want to have their
Men's
cake and eat it
conference.
too.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, that's part of, faith and religion is the story of and humanity is a story of redemption. So everybody, when that happens and it's something that's like a really, like huge, story of redemption, they want to like pedestalize that. And that's something for as long as, I mean, even when I was a kid, I can remember that. The people who had like lived consistently, moral, good lives throughout their life, like they're not the people who get attention.
Right.
It's the people who've like, dabbled in all of this stuff, and then they come, and do a 180 and they have the redemption story.
Well, that's why when Pearl Davis is calling her out, like I'm agreeing with Pearl. I'm like, she's calling that behavior out. She's calling out these tradcon chicks, these feminists, for that kind of behavior of what you're talking about here, that they go and they lift these women up and they celebritize them who were former prostitutes and sex workers and all these kinds of things.
Right.
Jesus washed their feet. He didn't put them as the head of the church. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
Right. That
I agree.
Saying that we have 2,800 people watching us live on
Morning,
Rumble.
y'all.
Good morning. And we have over 1,000 people watching us on X. Good morning, everyone. That's 4,000 people. The biggest audience we've had in a long time. I think I can tell why. If you're tuning into us for the very first time today, just FYI, I'm Austin Peterson. This is the Wake Up America show. I'm a right-wing libertarian Republican, and I assume many of you might be. Some of you are not. That's fine. We're glad to have people here who agree with us, disagree with us, what have you. So I hope you'll click that like button on the stream, at least if you're enjoying the content today, even if it's not for you tomorrow. That if you're enjoying this, just hit that like button for us just to get us out there in the feed because you enjoyed it today. But if you want to come back and join us, the stream schedule is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. So come back and join us again tomorrow. It's Freedom Family Friday. I bring my wife on the show. My brother from Boston is here. Yeah, we're libertarians and stuff, but we're also based in Red Pilled. So my guest who's joining me live right now is a regular guest, Camellia Peterson, live here with us on set. Normally she comes at 8 a.m. Central. And we're glad to have her here. So we're glad to have you guys joining us here. We'd love to have you come back. So even if you hate us, that's fine. You can hate watch the show. That's totally fine. So anyways, but let's continue with what Nick Fuentes has to say. We want to get to the woman beating part.
I'm like as dogmatic Catholic. Like if you're not dogmatically Catholic, just get out of my face. But these Catholic guys marry these bossy Catholic women. And they turn into this. They start going around talking about I'm a girl dad. You're a girl dad. In China,
my bio says girl dad.
I know, girl dad because they want to have sons. They're not going around and saying I'm a girl dad. Like, and I'm not saying I'm not saying that it's bad to have daughters or something like that.
Sounds like
but
a
be a
bit,
man. The problem is these men. They marry these bossy women. They have daughters. And they're in this estrogen household, and they turn into like a different animal. This is not a person that can kill. This is not a person that's going to kill, that's going to be able to act in the face of our country being raped. These are guys that are basically made to carry bags of Cheerios at Disney World. They're
he's getting to the hit women part.
Okay, you want to continue? All right,
built to carry fanny packs and shopping bags and pay for stuff. It's horror. I read this stuff and I'm like, oh my, like we're cooked. Look at my white nationalists.
I thought he was getting ready to say it.
Respectfully disagreeing with women and not attacking them for being women every 5 seconds. Oh my gosh. So, in case anyone thought I was like overreacting, in case anyone was saying, I've got it twisted. This is what's going on over. You want to say you're Nick Fuentes is an incel. He's like anti-marriage. Okay. Down the hall to the left. This is your party over there.
It kind of is. I mean,
you know,
not
a lot of people
anti-marriage,
swear
but-
up and down that they're not like that, but they really are. And you got this stuff going on all the time. Michael Knowles, perfect example of that. I went off on him during the Nala show. This OnlyFans girl, she's a top 1% creator on OnlyFans. She makes $9 million doing the most degenerate stuff conceivable as a porn star. Literally 3 weeks ago, she decides she's a Christian, and Michael Knowles is going to invite her on the show and do like a therapy session with her, talking about her childhood and talking about how she became a porn star and all this stuff. And I want to be like, where's the men? Where's the men that are going to take the country, man? Where are the actual men? And I don't even mean like the most macho. I'm not like a super macho guy, but I know what I'm about. And I would never go on social media and say, I respectfully disagree with women. That's why they like me. Well, maybe women don't like you because you're a jerk. Because you're a freaking asshole. Oh, brother. It is no wonder our race is cooked, dude. Because we lost it, man. We are not savages anymore. It's brutal. So, this stuff is no good, man. Like, this... I don't know about you guys, but I see that kind of stuff, and it just, like, fills me with disgust. I don't know how any person could write that.
How old is Nick?
I don't know, was it his 20s? In his 20s.
It's pretty early.
And that's
20s,
not
though,
even me
right?
being, like, a macho guy. It's just, like, how sick and twisted in the head do you have to be to go online and say, I always respectfully disagree with women. What? I don't attack women for being women. Like, do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? You sound like a libtard. You sound like a liberal beta male. Like,
Yes.
it's crazy.
He's right about that.
It's crazy. And they say the groypers are the insane ones.
Well, you are.
They say it's the incels. What?
It's two things can be true at once, Nick.
Totally.
The squirrel has found a nut.
Totally insane. Men cannot be domesticated like this.
Yeah, they are.
So anyway, I don't want to belabor the point. I'm just kind of going off now. But yeah, I saw that tweet. In light of recent conversations, I thought it was...
If you like had a boyfriend or like found a new husband, you wouldn't want him to be domesticated, would you? You want him to be a wild man, right? Well, under your thumb, right?
No.
Like carrying your bags,
No.
walking around, holding your purse while you're going shopping and all that kind of stuff, right? You want him to, be a bit wild, a little dangerous, a little dark, maybe a little scary.
I mean, but that's, I think that people end up with those people because that's what they're looking for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was relevant. We talked about the Nala thing. We talked about a couple of these things in the super chats recently. Accused me of being effeminate or whatever. I'm so not that guy that's like, hey, you're not being manly enough. But really, man, it's getting out of control. Like, let's pump the brakes.
See.
We need to be a man's house. When a man gets married, it needs to be a man's house. And that doesn't mean that you're like, Elliot Rodger in the flesh. God.
What do you think? When a man gets married, it needs to be a man's house. Agree?
I don't know what that means, right? Is he talking about the decor, or is he talking about who's in charge?
What is the decor in my house?
Well, okay, but that's different for everybody. Like some men,
What is the decor at my house?
It's a lot of your posters about old war posters, and it's guns and it's
On the
lots of-
wall,
right.
and all that kind of
Lots
stuff.
of historical stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
on.
it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean you're like gonna run up to women and say, "Hey, dirty slut." Like, it doesn't mean stuff like that. But the men have gotta be the boss, man. They gotta be the boss. My parents, grandparents tell me how it was in the old days, and you hear stories from people about their grandparents and maybe your own grandparents. It wasn't like this. These tradcons. They're homesick for a place that never existed. They
Correct.
want chivalry, but also where guys are doing half the chores. And
Exactly.
we must always respectfully address the females and
Yes.
never attack them for being women. It's like, what planet are you living on? We used to hit them. Men used to hit them. What timeline is this where I mean,
Right.
they literally are in like a princess fairy tale.
Correct. All right. Now let's address that point there, because you're trying to suggest that he's, suggesting to hit women. I don't interpret it that way, and I'll let you say what you want to say. But let me just say, I don't interpret him as saying that. He's saying that these tradcons they're pining for this era of this 1950s ideal that also included, not only did it include being able to hit your wife, but it also included, of course, Jim Crow and all these other things that were, that we don't like to talk about.
Which he would like.
Sure, which is why we're not groypers. We're not groypers, right? But at the end of the day, what he's saying here is that like they want all the benefits of chivalry without any of the appropriate responsibilities, right? They want to share the chores, right? To have the man do the dishes, and he's not the boss of the home, and it's all this chick decor in the house, and they are cucked. Their men are cucked, right? They claim to be anti-feminists, but their husbands, their men are right-wing girl dads. They're cucked.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I can see maybe where you could take it is that he's saying, that you're looking back on an era that is, I mean, like the 50s era, like that's an idealized, it didn't exist. Like it existed in commercials. It didn't exist in real life. That ideal. But, so I guess if he's saying, I mean, I guess I could see that, but it sounded to me more like he was saying that, men need to be men now. I mean, like, remember when we could actually hit women like that? I was like, what?
Yeah, my take was that like these women, like he continues on here where he talks about like that they had like they're still living in this fairy tale Disney princess land, right? They're still living in this fantasy ideal of what it was like to have a traditional home and all this stuff, but they don't actually really want to go back to that because of what it necessarily entailed, not getting hit, but giving up their privileges, giving up their chance to get a higher degree, giving up their job at the corporate workplace, giving up the high-powered job as an activist out in the streets or whatever. Do what it is that these women want to be able to do. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have their careers and then rage against feminism, which gave them the opportunity to be the girl bosses that they actually are. They're not as anti-feminist as they are. They fall back on, maybe I'm a libertarian actually instead, even though they're not. They're actually authoritarian in every other sense.
Fuentes is a good example of people listening to someone who has zero experience in anything that he's talking about.
Well, correct. Yes. Okay.
I mean, he's not that old. He's still in his
he's in his 20s, and he claims to be a virgin, so I mean, like,
I just keep thinking, like, remember when all of those politicians on the right went to his events, and like, I bet they're regretting that now.
Well, we appreciate you guys for tuning in to the Wake Up America show. We've got a little bit less than 10 minutes left. I will say thank you to the people who have joined us for the very first time. I imagine that for many of you, this is the first and last time you're probably ever going to listen to the Wake Up America show. I know we're not your type. I get it. It's fine. But for those of you who have tuned in this morning and who've actually enjoyed this conversation and think, I could stomach this at least for another day, then do click that follow button there on the stream and come back and join us for the regular schedule and see if you like us. Try us. You might like us.
If you were offended,
we're not for everybody.
Yeah. If you were offended today, you might not be tomorrow, or vice versa.
Yes, exactly. So, man, it seems like there's so much more we could go on, but you know what? That's why, Camelia, you're a regular guest, right? Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I'm sure we will talk about it again.
I'm sure we will. And I'm sure that since we covered this today, it will be on Fox News 2 days from now.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
Can't believe we're talking about this in mainstream.
Oh, man. I know. But you know what? The Wake Up America show stays ahead of the trends. Sometimes we set the trends. 2,200 people on Rumble. That's insane. How many people over on X.com? 1,150. Jesus. Like 3,300 some odd people watching this morning.
Happy Thursday, everyone.
We appreciate you. Biggest audience we've had in a while. Thank you. I imagine it's, yes, like they're saying in there, they're like, the only reason people are tuning in because it's Nick Fuentes and all that stuff. That's fine. We'll talk about Nick Fuentes again. Yeah, we'll bring you back then. Fine.
For the record, Nick Fuentes is a racist pansy.
Oh no.
Be clear.
I feel like the Groypers, all you're gonna do is make them double down now. When you call them a racist like that and stuff like that. Now they're gonna be like, oh, you're just a lib.
You're a lib. Pay the bills.
You're a lib turd. You're a lib turd. Okay, yeah. I just hate the word racist anymore because it's just devoid of all meaning. Anyways.
Sometimes it's true.
Okay, all right. In that case, I'm a racist against whatever Fuentes is. That half white, half Spicano. Mexican today. He's Mexican today. Just build that wall. Send him back to Mexico. Just kidding. God, for the love of God, people, can you not take a joke? For the love of God, we're just having fun, okay? That's what this show's all about. We talk about the news, we talk about politics, we talk about culture. We also have a lot of fun. Camellia, anything else we want to say before we go?
Nope. Have a great day, everyone. It's been fun.
You let him hit it wrong. Now you're single, mom. Now you're single, mom. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Freedom Family Friday. Justin Peterson be on the show. My smoking hot redheaded libertarian pregnant wifey be on the show. She's Jewish. Groypers, beware. She's gonna get you in her wows, and then she's gonna take over and turn you all into little Zionists. That's how we get the Zionist occupied government. Free Palestine. Have a good day, guys. Try not to think we're weird. Exit through the Grift Shop. Visit ap4libertyshop.com. Get yourself a delicious box of Founding Flavors coffee. That's AP, the number 4, ap4libertyshop.com. Get yourself a box of Founding Flavors coffee. Thomas's Painkiller, my favorite. See you guys tomorrow. We'll see Camellia next Tuesday. Thank you, Camellia, for putting up with us. Appreciate you guys. See you tomorrow on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to Wake Up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars, ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit petersonvoicestudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP4Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados
Tito's, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.